I'm calling the meeting to order. Today is June 5th. Vishal, please roll.
Mr. Clark?
Here.
Ms. Lofthouse? Here. Mr. Reed?
Here.
Mr. Chalantala?
Here.
Ms. Larrett?
Here.
All are present. Please note for the record, Trustee Larrett is attending remotely.
Awesome.
Also, Rochelle, please note for the record that today is June 4th, not 5th.
Four.
What'd you say?
I think I said 5th.
Oh.
Chris is right. It is June 4th.
I actually know.
Yep. Awesome. Good. We're getting ready for the closed session. I'm going to be calling the agenda items: student matters, employee-employer relationship, conference with the legal counsel, conference with the real property negotiators, and personal matters. Any public comments here?
None received.
Okay. We are adjourning for the closed session. Okay, good evening, everyone. I am calling back from the closed session. Today is June 4th. Michelle, please call the roll.
Yes. Mr. Clark?
Here.
Ms. Lofthouse? Here. Mr. Reed?
Here.
Mr. Chalantala?
Here.
Ms. Larrett?
Here.
Please note for the record, Trustee Larrett is attending remotely.
Yeah. Then we are going to read the land acknowledgement. Kara, please.
As the Folsom Cordova Unified School District, we acknowledge that our administrative facilities and schools occupy the unceded territory of the Nishinan and Miwok, the original people of the skies, land, and waters where we work and learn. We also recognize the presence and ancestral stewardship of the Nishinan ancestral tribes, the Esto, Natamuse, and Nisem Pawanan to the north.
And the Miwok ancestral tribes and the Akumune, Kumsune, Kulpune, and Mokuumne. To the south and the greater Sacramento River streams since the immemorial. We understand that this land, upon which our institutions are built, was once flourishing with the natural resources and sustained by the ancestral knowledge and practices of these indigenous communities.
We acknowledge the injustices of colonialism and attempted genocide that have impacted these communities and recognize the resilience of their descendants who continue to thrive today. In our daily endeavors of teaching, learning, leadership, and community engagement, we commit to supporting, respecting, and honoring their culture, traditions, and life ways.
We pledge to work together for the evolving vision of the Miwok and the Nisean, especially all future generations.
Awesome. The next is pledge. I would like to invite Mr. Reed, the young man who just graduated from Sutter Middle and going to Folsom High. He's going to lead us to the pledge.
Please rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Reed. And congratulations to all the grads who are here. Next, I'll be reading the broadcast statement. A broadcast and recording is being made at the direction of the board, and the broadcast may capture images and the sounds of those attending this meeting. Tonight's meeting is being live streamed on the district's YouTube website. The recording will be cablecast as a replays on Metro Cable 14 and it's a local government affairs channel on the Comcast and DirecTV viewers cable system. The recording will also be closed captioned and video streamed at metro14live.saccounty.gov. From Folsom Cordova Unified School District Board Policy 1313 promotes mutual respect, civility, and orderly conduct among employees, parents, and the public. We will treat staff, parents, and members of the public with respect and ask the same in return. If any member of the public uses obscenities or communicates in a demanding, loud, insulting, and/or demeaning manner, the board will calmly and politely admonish the person to communicate civilly. Public comments during the board meetings are an important component for public engagement and transparency. Public comments will be limited to the subject matter of the agenda items. Members of the public will not permitted to yield, I'm so sorry. Comments on the public matter not listed on the above agenda will be limited to the period of time reserved on the agenda for general public comments and should be relevant to the subject matter within the jurisdiction of the board and district. Members of the public will not be permitted to yield their speaking time to another member of the public. All written comments submitted by 2 o'clock today to the board have been read. Per the Brown Act, the board is not allowed to enter into the two-way discussion on any matter not on the agenda. Okay. Superintendent Swanson, report from closed session, if anything.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. Nothing to report.
Thank you, sir. And the next agenda item, item 6, celebrating student athletics accomplishments, spring sports. Mr. Swanson?
Yes, thank you, sir. I'd like to invite Mr. Peter Maroon to the lectern for an acknowledgement of all of our spring student athletes, with, I also think, a special announcement as well.
Good evening, board members, Superintendent Swanson, administrators, families, student athletes, coaches. It's my honor tonight to recognize our student athletes' outstanding achievements throughout the course of the year, especially here in the spring. Beyond the victories, the championships, and the awards, tonight truly is a celebration of tremendous growth and development for our student athletes. Their commitment, discipline, and teamwork have brought their great pride to their schools, their district, and of course, the broader FCUSD community. The experience gained through athletics will continue to shape their character and future success along and after the seasons are way over. Please note that with the school year ending, obviously in May, some of our students and our coaches may not be available for attending because they're already celebrating summer. Nevertheless, their achievements and dedications and personal growth deserve a full recognition and celebration. I'll start off with our middle schools. Our spring middle school season completed in early May. Sutter Middle School, 7th grade boys volleyball team won the Foothill Athletic League Conference. The Folsom Middle School 8th grade boys volleyball team, and I'm going to pause for a second. If you are here representing one of your schools, come on up. So Mac, you can come on up. Yeah. You can stand right here now.
All right, sounds good.
So I don't have to be nervous by myself.
Okay, perfect.
All right. 8th grade boys volleyball team from Folsom Middle School, champs of the Foothill Athletic League. It is notable also that Mills Middle School's 8th grade volleyball boys took second place, only losing to Folsom Middle. So it was an in-district competition. It was awesome. Our middle school, also a Folsom Middle School track and field team, won the Foothill Athletic League. Their 6th grade boys and 7th grade girls won the league. As well as Sutter Middle School's 6th grade girls and 8th grade boys won their league. Folsom Middle took the overall league conference championship for track and field. There's a theme here, and I'll get to it towards the end here in regards to track and field in a little bit. With that, Folsom Middle continues to celebrate, as well as Sutter Middle continues to celebrate their success. They had combined over 500 track and field athletes between those two middle schools. When you add in Mitchell and Mills, we had over 800 athletes in track and field this year alone at the middle school. I'm going to jump into the high school celebrations. Folsom High School's boys golf team celebrated by having 6 of their athletes qualify for the Sac Joaquin Division I championship. One of their players advanced to the Masters. And kind of the crescendo of all this is Vista del Lago. They're Capital Valley League Conference champs in boys lacrosse, boys tennis, boys and girls track and field, boys and girls swim. By the way, their swim team also won the Sac Joaquin Section Division II champs. Their boys golf team are not only the league champs, but they are the 5-time Sac Joaquin Division II champs, and they sent off 2 athletes to the state championship this last week. Literally, they competed yesterday. They just drove back last night. Their top player finished 13th out of a pool of 57 athletes, and then the second one finished at 37. So congratulations. That is not an easy task in the state of California, and we have over 1,400 high schools that collaborate for the CIF championship. So we've got a couple of coaches from our swim team with us tonight, as well as our track and field from Folsom Middle. So I want to celebrate that. And then to give you some additional information in regards to our district-wide celebrations. Our 4th and 5th grade district track and field event hosted at Vista del Lago this year had 462 athletes. That is 107 athletes more than last year. This year, we also hosted the league championships for the high schools at Cordova, at Folsom High, and at Vista for track and field. The middle school track and field championship at Vista, the elementary track and field events at Vista, and the CIF Masters track and field at Folsom High School. So we apparently are very good at track and field in this district.
Yeah.
Overall, 36% of all FCUSD secondary students are participating in athletics during the course of this year. That is a growth of 5% increase from previous year. We have a total of 4,343 student athletes out of 11,813. Folsom High School increased by 7%, Vista del Lago increased by 8%, and Cordova High School had the largest increase with 12% of the students participating more than the previous year.
Yeah.
Thanks to the collaboration of our coaches, our community, our parents that drive these kids back and forth every wake of the hour they possibly can, we had a total of 40 student athletes who graduated this year that have received scholarships to attend a next level, the college level, at the NCAA. So 40 students out of our 3 high schools. Just so you're aware, on a national average, if you get 3 students out of 1,000 going off to NCAA college scholarships, that's awesome. We get 40 out of 3, do the math, that's phenomenal. With that, I would like to extend our sincere gratitude to the Folsom Cordova Unified School Board, the district leadership, the school administrators, teachers, support staff, coaches, families, and every district department that contributes to the success of our student athletes and the programs. The growth and development of athletics at FCUSD is truly a collective effort. Our maintenance department, our facilities department, providing transportation, supporting academics, ensuring student safety and wellness, coordinating events, creating opportunities for participation, and so many individuals work behind the scenes to make these experiences possible for our students. Because of that commitment and support, our student athletes are provided with the opportunity to grow as leaders, teammates, members of our communities. Your investment in education-based athletics continues to positively impact our lives of our students on and off the field. And tonight, we get to recognize a special student. He was not able to participate in his graduation last Friday night. Because of that, he was at the CIF State Championship meet. Yeah. He is the second fastest runner in FCUSD history, according to Coach. He ran the 400 with 47.77 seconds at the state meet. With that, I would like to have the board help me recognize Cullen Lund, senior at Vista del Lago High School and graduate.
So Colin, Board, I'd like you to come down here. Colin, you're going to, before you walk through, step over there. You're going to walk through and shake their hands like you're officially graduating. But you can't run because you're fast and we're not. So,
No.
yeah,
Hey, Colin.
right there is good. Right there. That's good. Board, line up like the dignitaries. Last board member is going to hand you your diploma. Maybe like a tunnel right here, guys. This way.
On this side. Mike, come on up.
One thing.
Sure.
So just in an effort to do some self-promotion, first of all, I'm sorry that that Jen wasn't here because I know all of you guys are sports fans, but Jen is a super
She's up there.
duper track and
She's up
field fan and has helped single-handedly almost make Cordova track and field 1,000 times better than it's been in recent history. So thank you to Jen for all of that and all of you guys for supporting sports. And to the Long Ago School Board who helped pass Measure G. Part of what happened with the funds from that program was to upgrade the stands at Vista del Lago and gave us the chance to actually have a 3-host weekend where Cordova hosted a championship, Vista hosted a championship, and Folsom High hosted a championship all at once, so that people in our section think of Folsom when they think of championships. And last thing, my self-promotion, and I just want to point out Rod Robertson, who's in the back right there. Our boys varsity track and field team has won 10 consecutive track and field league championships. Colin's been part of the last 4. Rod's been part of all 10 of those, along with 2 section championships. So thank you to Rod. All right.
Thank you.
With that, on behalf of our schools, our athletic programs, thank you for your continued dedication to our students, our families, and the community for all the support. Thank you.
Awesome. While we are moving to the next agenda item, I just want to call out, Coach K is awesome, and he's also here as a council member from City of Folsom, Mike Kozlowski. So, thank you, Mike Kozlowski, for being here as well. Okay. And item 7, adoption of the agenda. Anyone has anything to pull?
That'll come next.
Vishal, anyone from the public to pull?
No, that comes next. We're adopting the
I'll
agenda.
move.
I'll second.
Mr. Clark?
Aye.
Ms. Lofthouse?
Aye.
Mr. Reed?
Aye.
Mr. Chalem-Churla?
Aye.
Ms. Larrett?
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0.
Okay, the next one is agenda consent.
Yes, for the board's consideration, I would like to recommend pulling item D and E based on a public request, and the district would like to pull item G.
I move that we adopt agenda consent with the exception of D, E, and G.
I'll second.
Vishal, please call the roll.
Mr. Clark?
Aye.
Ms. Lofthouse?
Aye.
Mr. Reed?
Aye.
Mr. Chalem-Churla?
Aye.
Ms. Larrett?
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0.
Item D.
Mr. Vice President, before we get to item D, with the board's acceptance well, actually, we have to wait for G to go. Can we do G first before we go
sure.
to D and E? Just because we have someone from the community that we want to celebrate.
Celebrate, let's do that.
Okay.
Item G.
So I pulled item G. That is our routine personal action item. I only pulled that item because the candidate that was mentioned on the what we call the RPA item 7 withdrew. So we want to adopt the RPA excluding line 7 from the Excel spreadsheet, but all the candidates included.
Board, I need a motion
move.
excluding. Thank you.
I'll second.
Mr. Clark?
Aye.
Ms. Lofthouse?
Aye.
Mr. Reed?
Aye.
Mr. Chalem-Churla?
Aye.
Ms. Larrett?
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0.
Okay, now Folsom Cordova is pleased to announce Christina Devon Claveau. Come on up, Christina. She's going to be our next assistant principal at Cordova Villa Elementary School for the 26-27 school year. Let's give her a round of applause. The principal, Amber Carter, here in support. Amber, thank you for being here. Christina brings over 20 years of experience in education with a deep commitment to student wellness, social emotional learning, and building inclusive school communities. She most recently served as vice principal at Dry Creek Elementary in Twin Rivers Unified School District, where in her first site administrator role, she spent 3 years growing as an instructional leader, deepening her expertise in school climate, PBIS, student support systems, and teacher coaching while building the collaborative team culture she is known for. Prior to that, she served as a coordinator of mental health and wellness at the Sacramento County Office of Education. Before that, she led the district-wide implementation of wellness centers across all 8 high schools in Roseville Joint Union High School District, overseeing a multidisciplinary team of wellness associates, specialists, interns, and family and community engagement liaisons through an MTSS framework. A proud bilingual educator, Christina is fluent in Spanish and is passionate about building strong collaborative teams that put students first. Christina holds a Master of Social Work from the University of Minnesota and is completing her Clear Administrator's credential through SCOE. She is also a part-time faculty instructor at California State University, Sacramento, where she teaches school social work pupil personnel services courses. When she's not working, Christina loves spending time with her family and animals, and she loves to cook and travel. Welcome, Christina.
Awesome.
Thank you to the board, to the cabinet. Thank you. I'm super excited to be a part of the Folsom Cordova family and learn and grow in my community at Cordova Villa and learn from Principal Carter. So thank you for having me.
Thank you so much.
Next up, item D, adoption of Proposition 28.
Yeah, so this was pulled by a community member, and Earl, I'm Earl, I know it's Earl because it's on my Google form, but Rochelle will call the community member up to speak on this item. Sorry to ruin her thunder, Earl, so.
Earl Smith?
I need to address this.
Mr. Smith, can you hand those, Mr. Smith, can you hand those over to Martha, please? Thank you.
Once you get your form, if you can turn to page 2, and I've highlighted some points here. These printout is, while he's going, these printouts are of bylaw 9323, as well as emails attached from Mr. Swanson to myself and Mr. Clark.
Mr. Smith, this
Yes.
first item is the approved Proposition 28 Plan, Arts and Music in Schools AMS Funding Guarantee and Accountability Annual Report for 25-26.
That is what I'll be talking about.
Okay, because I believe this is, I saw this on the
This is
notes
the
for the
bio-
general comment.
I will be talking about in depth in general comment, but I don't want to be interrupted when I do criticize, when I talk about, I've been coming here 2 years. I mean, you can start the time, but I've been coming here 2 years, talking about one thing: jazz band, jazz choir, music department. Not only does my daughter do music accepted to UCLA Global Jazz Studies, I'm also a teacher in the community. Most of my students do go to Folsom Cordova school districts. So I'm addressing this, I addressed this before with Miss Amnes. But issue I have is with the music department, with the music, when funds are given, teacher, I have currently a student in 5th grade. I don't want to say the student's name, and I don't want to say the school, because the student is afraid of scrutiny. But when they're in the music class taking orchestra, violin, I meant to bring my violin, not my daughter's violin, today, but I forgot it. But a violin does not have any frets on it. So you have to train yourself where you put your finger at. To do it properly, the violin must be in tune. So the students are not being taught how to tune the violin, but then they're tested weekly in front of the class on how well they play in tune, but yet they can't tune the violin. It's defeating. I addressed this when Faith was in 4th and 5th grade. I thought the teacher was removed. I addressed this with Miss Amnes, and I find out this semester is happening again. My student in utter tears, crying, emotionally defeated because the student cannot study. This is an A student. And I understand Ms. Amnes's point. The district can't teach the student how to tune the violin because what happens when you're dealing with old strings, they break. But if you're going to test the student and then based on their tuning, take them in front of all their peers and move them down a seat, it's emotionally troubling. And I believe, and why I'm bringing this up on this agenda is because this teacher, I thought Ms. Amnes removed this teacher from the district because she also is placing all the colored students at the bottom. And now when I say colored, that's Black. Most of the time, Faith is either 1 or 2 or 3 of Black students, but the Indian students are darker than us. And they get the same treatment, scrutiny. So that's why I'm addressing this policy, thank you. I'm addressing this policy. I just would like the district to take better emotional care of the students while they're in the music in the 4th and 5th grade. I've watched a lot of kids in tears. I sat and watched a kid, 5th grade. And I sat and watched other kids sitting there crying and the teacher was not moved. And that teacher's being funded through this. So I'm bringing that up, and I'm bringing this bylaw up, which I'll talk more later
Mr.
about the
Smith.
criticism.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Colleagues, you guys have any comments, or I can take a motion? Item D.
I move.
I'll second.
I'll second. We have Ms. Lofthouse that seconded the motion.
Yep.
Mr. Clark?
Aye.
Ms. Lofthouse?
Aye.
Mr. Reed?
Aye.
Mr. Chalem-Churlet?
Aye.
Ms. Larrett? Aye. Motion carries 5-0.
And next agenda item, item E. Mr. Swanson?
Yes, we have public comment from Earl Smith.
Thank you, board. Mr. Vice President, I guess I would say, Mr. Swanson, forgot to say that last time. Once again, I want to double down on this. So in 2 years, I come almost every board meeting talking about this agenda, course outlines. I'm here to protect students within music. I'm gonna come as long as it takes. But once again, the children, when it comes to something like this, I mean, even Ms. Lofthouse, we had a meeting before, and Ms. Lofthouse told me about, she was at that last chair when she was in the Folsom Cordova School District. And what she said to me, there was no way for her to move up one chair. And I could see in her eyes the pain. So when I look at my students that I'm teaching, the parents come to me for direction when it comes to music. My students, I call them, they're my spiritual children. I deeply care about them. I will advocate for them, whether it's this school, the El Dorado, or the schools in El Dorado County. I go all bat for them, sending emails, meetings. I just had a parent come to me dealing with auditions, student who's in middle school is in utter tears about his audition. So once again, if the CDE is going to give more money on these props, and I understand these props, I do believe there needs to be a higher level of accountability of the emotional well-being of the children when in the 4th and 5th grade. This is such a development year for them. And then when they go on to the middle school, it is when you defeat them with something that should be enjoyable. Music is the only thing that you can do that develops both sides of the brain at the same time. You see, with Faith doing music all through her life, she's a straight A student. You see how intelligent she speaks, how she writes better than me. She corrects my stuff. More than half the emails you guys get, she proofreads them, restructures them. That's because of music. You got to protect the children. Don't brush this, oh, it's music. I hear so many times in the district, that's not my thing.
30 seconds remaining.
It's not about the music, it's about the emotional well-being and the emotional development of the children's brain that we need to protect. Thank you.
Thank you. That is all the comments for this item.
No other comments? Okay. Thank you, Mr. Smith. I'll take a motion for item E.
I'll move.
I'll second.
Charlie.
Clark,
Aye.
Mr. Reed,
Aye.
Mr. Chalam-Turla,
Aye.
Ms. Lofthouse?
Aye.
Ms. Larrett?
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0.
Okay. Up next, item 9, public comments. Time will be given to the speakers at the decision of the board chairperson. It is 3 minutes. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. We'd like to call up Trinette Marquez to the podium.
Good evening, Superintendent Swanson, Board of Trustees, everyone in the audience tonight. I'm delighted to be here. My name is Trinette Marquez, and I represent the California School Public Relations Association. We are a statewide nonprofit, and we provide support and professional development for communication professionals throughout the state, so all of the school districts throughout California. But tonight is not about all of California. It is about your district, and in particular, the young lady next to me. I want to celebrate a professional milestone for her. But first, before I turn my attention to Mina, I want to thank you all for your investment in communication and community engagement. Especially in these times, we know that trust is the greatest currency that we have in education. And you don't get that by chance, you get that by deliberate and strategic communication. And so you all have walked the talk. You have invested in your communications team. Jamina Jolly is one of our young professionals rising through the ranks. Angela is a superstar within our association, has donated countless hours. And now you have Mina, who has been fantastic. She's quiet, super wicked smart. I've spent 9 months with her through our communications and community engagement course through CalSPRA. It is a very rigorous pathway for new professionals in our profession. And we cover all the tough topics, lots of crisis communication, as you might imagine, in schools, but we also cover the strategic topics, how to do communication planning, how to make sure that she is thinking through her community engagement strategies, making sure that you are reaching all the families within your school system. We also talked about branding and videography and all of the latest technology that we have at our disposal, whether we choose to use it or not. So with that rigor, I want to also emphasize that Mina has been doing an amazing job in her day job while she's also taken on this 9-month course. And she recently graduated. So I could not turn down the opportunity to come out here tonight and celebrate her. Thank you, Mina.
Preach. No. Do you want a photo?
Yes, please.
Okay, let's do a photo.
Gonna get a lot. Second phone. All right, that's perfect.
Thank you. We'll call up Alicia Kempenar, followed by Janelle Pomeroy.
Good evening, board members and Superintendent Swanson. My name is Alicia Kempenar. I'm here today to support my children, Reed and Kayla Kempenar, alongside their friends in advocating for high school water polo team. I wanted the opportunity, just like other parents, to see my children excel at a sport that they love for their high school. Over the past 2 years, we have worked with Athletic Director Peter Maroon to better understand what it would take to create a successful and sustainable program. We were told the main concerns were pool access, startup costs, coaching support, and student interest. So we got to work. We confirmed available evening pool time with the City of Folsom. We built a fundraising team prepared to offset startup costs through community support, minimizing financial impact to the district. We connected with experienced coaches within the high schools and local water polo organizations that are ready to support and grow the program. And we gathered strong student interest through petitions across the district. As you can see, this is not just an idea. This foundation is already in place. Water polo is one of the fastest growing high school sports in California. U.S. Water Polo is the national governing body for the water polo in the United States and has seen membership growth by nearly 67% over the last 8 years. Many high schools in Sacramento area have seen the growth and have grown their own teams. Right now, Folsom students who want to play water polo must leave the district to find opportunity at these other high schools. That should not be the case in a community that values athletics and student development as much as ours does, as we saw here tonight. We are not asking for the district to build this alone. We are asking for partnership, transparency, and a clear path forward. We are looking for the board to approve allocations to help support this team grow. Our students have shown interest, our families are ready to help, and the community support exists. We respectfully ask the board to embrace this opportunity to bring water polo to the Folsom Cordova district by directing your executive team to create a clear path forward to an inaugural season to start in fall 2027. Thank you guys so much for your time.
Thank you. Janelle Pomeroy, followed by Alan Kennedy.
Good evening, President Lorette, board members, and Superintendent Swanson. My name is Janelle Pomeroy, and I am a parent of Sloan, who is going into 5th grade at Carl Sundell Elementary, and Declan, who's standing here with me, who's going into 7th grade at Sutter Middle School. Declan is currently on the California Republic Water Polo Club team, and they are sending 5 teams to the Junior Olympics this year in Southern California. Many of those athletes are Folsom Cordova students. Now, I'm here to piggyback on what Alicia said and talk a little bit about the financial burden that this may cause and some solutions. So I understand that starting a new athletic program requires thoughtful planning and financial consideration, and that's why I wanted to speak not only as a parent, but also as someone with extensive fundraising experience. Professionally, I've helped, through my career, helped organizations raise funds and build community support. And as both professionally and as a volunteer, I have worked with national organizations, including the National Multiple Sclerosis Society, the American Parkinson's Disease Association, the National Kidney Foundation, and many more. Locally, I've served as PTA president for Carl Sundell Elementary and vice president for Carl Sundell Elementary PTA. And I've also chaired more than 5 school auctions at that school. I've also helped raise funds through sponsorships and fundraising events for the Folsom Sea Otters swim team. Through all of these experiences, I've learned that when a community truly believes in an opportunity for students, it will step forward to support it. I also want to acknowledge when we just asked our circle of community to come and support us this evening, many of them stepped up. And I'll ask those that are supporting water polo at Folsom Cordova Unified School District to just raise your hand in the audience. Wow. Thank you. I've seen firsthand through Declan that water polo would provide another avenue for student participation, fitness, teamwork, and school pride. And many of our students already swim competitively, and they're looking for a chance to continue to develop their athletic schools in a team environment at the high school level. I recognize that resources are limited, but I also believe that there are families, businesses, community organizations, and volunteers that are willing to partner with the school and school board to help make this program successful. I am personally willing to help lead those fundraising and community engagement efforts. And tonight, I simply ask the board to explore what it would take monetarily to establish a water polo program and to work with interested families to make it a reality for our students. Thank you very much for your time, to your service to our district, and for your consideration.
Thank you. Alan Kennedy, followed by Cornelius R.
Good evening, Board. My name is Alan Kennedy. I'm the father of an incoming freshman and a sophomore at Folsom High School, class of 2029 and 2030. I grew up playing water polo in high school and college. It was extremely important in my youth. It formed me into the person I am now. It was very rewarding as a competitive sport. Water polo builds a team. It is a team sport for swimmers who are often individual competitors. It is a competitive team sport. It offers an opportunity for teens to use their energy, their skills, to get away from screen time, which we'll be discussing later this evening. We can celebrate their wins. They can commiserate in their losses. They learn to grow. They learn to thrive. They become more balanced individuals. It is a very important sport. It is something that all of these kids here want to participate in, and it's something that I think we should support. Competitive teams build confidence. They offer a sense of belonging, and it is a healthy outlet for teen energy. It allows you to compete, to win, to lose, and to come to terms with your emotions. It also allows for folks to grow as children and then experience the emotions of a loss. And that's very important as a team to grow together. Many of the area high schools around here have competitive teams. CIF has sections assigned for water polo. We want to compete in those sections. CIF has water polo divisions for boys and girls in the fall as a fall sport. We're looking for pool time in the fall. Swimming is in the spring. This works. We have found ways to make our way into the Vista pool in the schedule that allows for these teams to compete in very limited resources. Most club teams go dark in the fall, so most of these kids that are playing water polo will not have an opportunity to play water polo in the fall because in other school districts, they have water polo competing and the club teams stop playing. So there is a big gap for our students in Folsom in the fall if they want to play water polo. Club water polo players living in Folsom often consider moving to other districts through interdistrict transfer in order to be able to play for those teams. Water polo is a true California sport. It is widely supported in high schools. We have multiple competitive college teams with teams including Cal Berkeley, UCLA, Stanford, and USC dominating the NCAA. This coming next year in 2028, the Olympics will be played in Long Beach and water polo will be highlighted, and this is an opportunity for us to get in as the sport grows. It's important to be honest about where we are as a community. We have not supported aquatic sports. We didn't put a pool in Folsom High School. This is an opportunity to give that support. Let's give an opportunity for all of our Folsom athletics to compete in water polo.
Thank you. Kayla and Dakota, followed by Nicole Heine. Is Kayla joining you?
Wait. This is Cornelius.
Oh, Cornelius. I'm sorry. Excuse me.
Hello, I'm Reed Kempenar, the goalie for the American River Water Polo Club 14U team and a swimmer for the Folsom Sea Otters. I have spent a lot of my life in the pool and as an aquatic athlete. I was promoted from Sutter Middle School and will be attending Folsom High School. I'm proud to become a Bulldog. However, Folsom currently does not provide a water polo team. This is a shame because students are missing out on all the great benefits that water polo provides. If we brought water polo to FHS and other FCUSD schools, it would help help students grow and strengthen confidence, leadership, and teamwork. I know this because of my own experience in this amazing sport. One of the benefits of water polo is the way it helps you become a better leader. Communication is a huge part in the play of the game, and we're always talking to our teammates, calling plays, and working together as defense. This helps build leadership skills, teaches you how to work with others. Some of my best friends come from water polo, and all of the communication has helped me outside the pool become more confident speaking up as a leader in other parts of my life. Water polo has also helped me stay in shape, made me a faster swimmer, and built my leg and upper body strength. If the schools added the sport, students would join the team who would experience the same benefits as I've had. It would improve athleticism, boost school spirit, and create a fun competition with other high schools. It would also strengthen the Bulldog community. My family has been working hard to bring water polo to high school. We have run into challenges such as pool time, coaching, student interest, and other issues, but we have been working to solve them. Even with these efforts, we still have not seen much progress because of the students like me may not get the chance to play our favorite sport in high school. Without a team, students lose opportunities for competition, skill development, and even athletic scholarships. One concern we've heard is funding. While I understand adding a new sport can cost money, I believe water polo deserves serious consideration. Folsom High School has done a great job at adding sports like lacrosse and girls flag football. I think that water polo deserves the same opportunity. These challenges can be solved if students, families, coaches, and the school work together. We would love the opportunity to help make water polo a reality at Folsom High School. In conclusion, I believe water polo has many benefits for students and can create great opportunities for our school. If we work together, we can solve these challenges. We could bring water polo to Folsom, and it would help students and athletes grow, strengthen our swims program, boost school spirit, create scholarships, opportunities, and have amazing sport to our school. Thank you for the consideration.
Thank you. Okay, now we have Kayla and Dakota, followed by Nicole, honey.
Hello, my name is Dakota Kennedy. I will be a freshman this coming school year at Folsom High School. My favorite sport is water polo, and I would love to share it with Folsom High. At Folsom High, there are around 3,000 students. I believe many people would try out for water polo if they were offered. Right now, I am in a club for water polo where everyone else has a high school team where they can play water polo, except for me, because I go to a Folsom school. I don't have the same opportunities to get college scholarships for water polo because we don't have a team at Folsom High School. I would be thrilled to have a water polo team in high school. Thank you for listening.
Good evening. My name is Kayla Kempenar, and I am going into 7th grade at Sutter Middle School. I am here today to advocate for the middle schoolers who have the dream to play water polo in high school. Water polo is important to me because I want to represent my high school in a sport I love for. I currently play for American River Water Polo Club, which is made up of students from different school districts in the region. It hurts my heart that they get to play water polo in high school, but I don't. We are just asking for the school board to give us the resources to make my dream come true. We have a group of hard workers, including students, parents, teachers, and coaches that are willing to put in the work that is necessary for this to happen. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you. Nicole Haynes?
This is my one comment, or do I get to speak later? Okay, great. Good evening. So I am not sure the board is aware of how big swimming is and water polo in Folsom. So we have 2 recreational teams and 1 competitive team. My son swims for Broadstone Barracudas. We've won the Suburban Swim League champs for the last 7 years. We have so many swimmers in Folsom. And bringing water polo, which was promised a long time ago to Folsom High, went away when the pool got canceled, is important to our programs, but also builds strength in our swimming season for springtime. Because when they don't have a team to play for in fall, some of them don't practice, right? There's not as many options. Some of them have to turn to the competitive swim team, which is very intense when you're trying to balance other things with your schoolwork. And we're just here asking for water polo, which I think is the coolest sport, but I grew up in Southern California. So we would play as a high school, all the lifeguards and teachers on breaks. It's a great, really fun activity if you haven't ever tried. Anyway, so we hope that you will acknowledge all the great swimming talent in our area and help us found this team and give our students more opportunities to compete in a great sport. Thank you.
Cindy Meyer, followed by Mason Meyer.
Good evening. My name is Dr. Cynthia Meyer, and I really support water polo. It's super fun, but I wasn't going to say that. All right, so first of all, I have 2 major points for you guys to consider. First one, they have a copy over here. I would really love a letter of support from Folsom Cordova United School District in support of Assembly Bill 1713. This bill allows students to carry their medical diagnosis for their IEP into state universities and colleges. That process of getting diagnosed, it took me 6 years to get my son properly diagnosed and get on an IEP. A whole lot of people would benefit from this. On the second page of their notes, I would love to see our school district labeled here under support letters. And that's Assemblywoman Ransom's office. Secondly, I'm here tonight with my son, Mason. He just got promoted from 8th grade at Sutter Middle School. Very proud of him. And next year, he is going to be going into Folsom High School. Some of you may remember, we came here in the fall, we had a major issue with aerosols, specifically body sprays on campus that was causing him severe medical impacts. Sadly, we suffer from chemical allergies. That's why we wear the mask. We're not afraid of COVID or anything else, just chemical allergies, and we like breathing. This is a severe disability, and I'm very concerned about the accessibility at Folsom High School for him next year. We went on a tour in February, and what we found is we couldn't even go in the administrative building to sign in or out because they have fragrance products, melted wax burning stuff all over the place. And sadly, that building doesn't only have the principal's office and the important offices, it also has the health office. And with this disability, Mason has to frequent the health office for his medication and treatment, and we are unable to enter the health office. This is a severe accessibility issue right there. The other issue is that there are not any restrooms on campus that do not have air fresheners, spraying air fresheners and scented soaps in them. So he is expected to go on a campus of 3,000 students and have no bathrooms accessible to him for the entire day. So the ask here, I guess I've been emailing staff and I haven't seen any significant forward motion on this, and we're going into summer and I really want him to be able to attend school every single day. So the ask here is that you take attention to this matter, remove the air fresheners and the fragrance from the Folsom High School campus, ensure accessibility to the school offices and the health office for him. I encourage staff and students to minimize their use of fragrance and chemicals. I'm pretty sure everyone here put on some sort of scented product today. And evaluate the health risks of all chemicals in the district buildings to provide a safe environment for all students. Thank you.
Thank you. Mason?
Evening. My name is Mason Meyer. And yes, I'm very proud that I finally graduated with passing grades and I'm now moving on to high school. Just my one problem is, as already mentioned, that I'm now going to have a more severe case of having to walk around campus because, one, way much more students, and two, not the ability, I have the ability to not have the ability to go to the restroom, which I believe you could see as a problem because that eventually leads to the point that instead of me going to school every day to learn, it eventually leads to the point that I'm going to be a carcass on the floor, which is actually true. I am not making any of these up because this disability is a burden I carry across as long as I live right now. But the thing is that I'm actually learning this time. People are actually supporting me, and this stupid disability is getting in the way. So I'm just asking, please, could I have the ability to just go to the restroom? And not only that, the nurse's office I can't even go into, which is a bigger problem because if I say my disability happens and I have a chemical attack, I basically cannot go to the nurse's office asking for help, and I have to find a way how to do this all on my own. And when it comes to fight or flight mode, you'll notice that it would be a panic attack, and that's not good for any of us. So I'm asking to not have my high school a nightmare, and I want to remember it as a place that I actually learned at. Thank you.
Thank you, Mason. Robin Washington?
Good evening, board members, superintendent. My family moved to Folsom because we believed in this community and its schools. After attending Oak Chan for the past 4 years, my son Bryson was recently denied enrollment for 5th grade, his final year before middle school. His younger brother will continue attending Oak Chan next year. While Bryson's situation brought me here tonight, this issue extends beyond one family. After speaking with other parents, I learned that many families are facing similar concerns as our schools continue to experience rapid growth and overcrowding. I understand the district must plan for future in-zone enrollment and capacity needs. However, moving current enrolled students from one overcrowded school to another does not solve overcrowding. It simply redistributes the problem while disrupting the continuity that helps students succeed. And continuity is not just emotional, it is educational. Stable relationships, predictable environments, and consistent expectations are especially important during the critical upper elementary years before the transition to middle school. As both a parent and a board-certified behavior analyst who works in schools across our region, I can tell you that class size matters. Research consistently shows that as class sizes increase, opportunities for student engagement and individual support decrease, while teacher stress and burnout increases. Overcrowded classrooms also change how teaching happens. Teachers are often forced to rely more heavily on technology and independent work, not because they want to, but because they are trying to meet the needs of too many students at once. Other growing districts, including San Juan Unified, have publicly recognized that high-density schools require targeted investments in smaller class sizes and improved adult-to-student ratios because they understand that student success, teacher retention, and school climate depend on it. Families in Folsom cannot wait 10 years for new schools to be built when the growth of Folsom is already here. Parents want to understand what immediate steps the district is taking to address overcrowding, reduce class sizes, and ensure student achievement does not suffer as our community continues to grow. Other districts are publicly committing to these goals, and I hope our district chooses a path that keeps the students at the center of every decision. Thank you.
Thank you. Earl Smith? Earl Smith?
Good evening, Board, Madam President, Mr. Swanson. As you guys got the board policy that I gave you guys earlier in the highlighted parts. I want to stress on page 2, it says public criticism of the board, individual board members, the district, its policies, its procedures, its programs, services, acts, or omissions shall not be prohibited. And it includes government code. So what is criticism? Well, if you look up the definition, criticism is the act of evaluating or analyzing something or the expression of disapproval or fault finding. While it often involves pointing out mistakes, it also serves as a formal, unbiased review of creative works, texts, or ideas. Now, it just says criticism. It doesn't say constructive criticism, which is feedback designed to be helpful, positive, and supportive. Its goal is to identify areas of improvement while offering practical solutions, fostering growth rather than discouragement. Now, I've done that a lot. But there's also something called destructive criticism, which is harsh, generalized, or attacking commentary. It focuses on pointing out flaws or tearing someone down without providing any constructive solution. Now, I've not done that. I've provided multiple constructive criticism and solutions. When you guys voted on the course outline for jazz band, it is just the same course outline rewritten. I also said, all of you guys, the state code and the ed code, which also talks about access to curricular classes. Dr. Huber he said it. They're assessing students on how well they'll do a year from then on an extracurricular activity to determine whether they allow access to a curricular activity. That's Jim Crow law. That's breaking the law. And I've been trying to correct that before filing in court, civil. But it seems like this district doesn't want to do it. So what I did last week, Faith and I, you guys opened the door on that comment when you started talking about jazz stuff. You opened the door. We are allowed to do it. You're public servants to serve, not kings and queens. And we're asking you to do what's best for the children. And it was inappropriate for a board member to attack me. I never said anything about her being a mother.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. I don't see any more public requests. Oh, we have one more. Would you like to come to the podium?
Hi, my name is Gina Clark, and I'm here as a Sierra Marlins mom for swim. And I did want to touch on bases on the water polo thing. There is not a lot of pool time at Vista in the evenings in the fall. The Sierra Marlins take over both pools all year long, 11 months out of the year. And pool space is incredibly limited, so I wanted the board to know that. Some of the kids during the actual summer or spring swim season, when the high schools do, their time, they don't get home until like 8 o'clock at night, and some of the kids are really little. So I don't know where the water polo would be swimming, but Vista del Lago does have no lanes available in the evening time. Neither does the actual Folsom Aquatic Center. Sierra Marlins are very large, and they don't have enough lanes by themselves. Thank you.
Thank you. We have another public comment.
Thank you, Casey Kempenar. I just wanted to add that Vista del Lago is school district property. It should be focused on students that go to those schools. Marlins is a club team, so I think it's board to make sure that they're recognizing that the kids that are enrolled in your schools are the ones using the lanes first, rather than the Marlins taking over and obstructing the pool time available. We have talked with Folsom City. There is evening pool time. Our kids are used to swimming in evening. We're picking them up down in Rio Americano on a regular basis at 8 o'clock at night. So we're used to that, or early mornings. So thank you.
Thank you. Those are all our comments at this time.
Okay, we are moving to item 10, reports of districts organizations. Mr. Swanson, before I go, I just want to acknowledge you all came here to spoke to us. I know it can't be a two-way conversation. I just want to recognize that we all heard your comments. Thank you again for coming and speaking to the board.
So, Vice President, you would just go down the list on these?
Yes,
Yeah,
I'm going.
got it.
Item 10, and the California School Employees Association, CSEA. Any comments? No report. Okay, the next one, Folsom Cordova Education Association, FCEA.
Evening, everybody. Though I thought I wasn't going to give a report, I decided I need to make a statement about two of the job descriptions that were on the agenda consent portion. The two job descriptions that I'm addressing are the peer advisor and the secondary special education service liaison. Both stated that these jobs were funded through the general funds, but that may lead to a misunderstanding among members and sites in the future. On the peer advisor, our 25-26 MOU that you went ahead and you approved, we have agreed that this position will be paid through one-time funding, not general funds at this time. The liaison position, even though general funds may be used, AKA supplemental funds, the site that has this position where it is housed uses their site funds to support this position. These funds are approved by their site council and supported through their SIPSA for their site. This is not a position that can be filled unless the site decides to fund the position. As to the comment that was made last board meeting about FCA salaries comparison, it was stated that FCA staff made more money than UTLA. Los Angeles teachers, that is not even close to the facts. The facts are as follows. Our first-year teachers started Cell 1 at $58,405, where UTLA begins their journey at $77,000. UTA ends with a little more than $167,000, where FCA teachers end with a little over $125,000. Now, Los Angeles has several smaller districts within the Greater Basin. And so maybe the individual was talking about one of these smaller districts, but their comments were misleading. I'm just trying to set the record straight. Thank you.
Thank you. Up next, District English Learners Advisory Committee, DLAC. Mr. Swanson?
Yeah, that's usually Dr. Shauna Pitt, who just stepped out. She has one job at this board. No, I was kidding. There she is too. I don't think Elena is she on Zoom?
Yes,
Oh,
I am.
hi, Elena.
You are.
Hi,
You're
good to
here.
see you. I do have a report tonight, and thank you for allowing me to come in virtually. I have a brief report for DLAC tonight, and later on I'll follow up with our public hearing. But here's our report. Let me get this up. On Tuesday, June 2nd, the district DLAC officers met to review and provide advice and advisory and recommendations regarding the following items. It was CARS, which is the application for funding that includes Title I, Title II, Title III, Title IV. They had opportunity to review the funding for specifically Title III for English learners, as well as the others. They also had a chance to review items that included the planning for the upcoming parent summits for following school year and the development of the DLAC meeting calendar and priorities. Separately, there was a final DLAC meeting that was held on Tuesday as a whole team, not just with officers, on May 15th. And during that meeting, members reviewed and celebrated several significant accomplishments for the English learners, students across the district. And those highlights included the recognition of over 300 English learner students who were reclassified as RFEP during the current school year, with additional students anticipated to qualify based on the recent LPAC results. Our schools are excited. As the scores come in, they're reviewing and prepping for those new students to be added to the reclassification. Separately, the celebration, the ceremony for our students at the ceremony parent summit, there was 358 graduating seniors who earned the state seal of literacy. And those of you who were able to attend the graduations, you saw that they wear a medal as seal earners. That represented over 16 different languages. And it reflected, of course, our rich linguistic diversity in our own district. And just a fun fact, the recognition, also 176 of those 300 plus students receiving the seal, they were former English learners, having entered our own school district, having not yet mastered the proficiency in English. So DLAC members expressed the pride and the accomplishments of the English learner students and the appreciation of the district's continued commitment to multilingualism, academic achievement, and family engagement. On behalf of DLAC, I want to thank you, the board members, for your ongoing support of our English learner programs and services. Your commitment helps, of course, to ensure that all students have access to opportunities that foster their own academic success, their continued bilingualism and biliteracy, and college and career readiness. Thank you, and that's our report.
Thank you. Next up is the board committees, AI.
No report.
No report. Next one is budget advisory committee.
It hasn't, well, we've kind of wrapped up for the year, did we not, Sean?
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
We wrapped up for the year. Thank you. And curriculum advisory committee next.
No report.
No report. And district facilities committee.
We'll have a report at the next meeting, but no report tonight.
Policy.
Ditto.
No, ditto. Safety. We met with Mr. Swanson, and thank you, Mr. Swanson, for arranging safety committee with 2 police chiefs from the both cities. And we want to do some strategic discussion and coming up with a framework, what else we can do to safeguard our schools and the protection. So it is a first meeting, it's kind, and we are going to meet again next year, but we are going to follow up on every quarter how we are doing for the safety of our children and schools and all our facilities employees. Thank you. And next one is special education. Is there anyone? No, right? David, no report. Yeah. City of Folsom, joint coordination committee 2x2 with the district.
That's finished until August.
August. And City of Rancho Cordova, 2x2. No report. Okay. They went so fast. Thank you. Up next, the item 11, presentations, updates, and discussions. Screen time task force recommendation. Mr. Swanson.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. Inviting Dr. Shauna Pitt up to the podium for the presentation. Just as a reminder to the board, at the March 19th board meeting, the board requested a convening of a screen time task force to examine the impact of screen use on students and develop recommendations for consideration by the district. Shauna will cover in her deck that she's convened the task force a handful of times. She's returned here to talk about the recommendations from the task force. And I try not to steal your thunder. Did I do
Did a
okay?
great job.
Okay, perfect. Go for it, Dr. Pitt.
Good evening, Superintendent Swanson, President Larrett, Vice President Churla. Thanks for having me. Really excited to be here tonight and share with you an update of some of the recommendations that were drafted in our student screen time task force. As Superintendent Swanson mentioned, we convened the task force to kind of explore areas of consensus and possible recommendations to support both academic success and student wellness. So one of the strengths of this work is that it wasn't a single meeting or a single survey, but has really been kind of a culminating effort that started in January when we were talking about the cell phone policies in our district, and that kind of morphed into a discussion more broadly about screen time and the use of Chromebooks in schools. And then, as you can see on the timeline here, the boxes in red indicate 3 task force meetings that we held with community members, including students, families, and staff. So the task force process was pretty quick. We moved at a fast pace. We met at the end of the day, and we really wanted to explore student screen time use beyond cell phones, in particular, how Chromebooks and instructional decisions are made in classrooms, and how the district might make different decisions or better choices around balancing student wellness, focus, and the need for improved social connection in person, not digitally, and as well as thinking about developmentally appropriate technology use. As we know, our students are
currently in a very technologically advanced world. We're not just preparing them for a world outside of the TK-12 system to start to use technology. That world is here. It is in their lives every day. It's in our lives. And so really we wanted to think about how could we balance how we provide guidance to staff. And so we started in this process here to first I wanted to know from the community, what did they want to focus on? What were some of those key points to get a general sense and which would help guide the discussion? I really wanted to focus us kind of being grounded in current events in this regard. As you know, a lot of the research around screen time is relatively new and is emerging and is becoming more and more, the field is becoming more and more saturated with evidence around neuroscience, developmental appropriateness, all sorts of impacts on screen time. As you know, the uptick of technology use in schools was exacerbated by COVID-19, where we had very little choices about how to continue instruction. So there's a lot of factors at play as well. Our participants, as I said, not only were representative of parents, students, teachers, administrators, board members, but also several departments across our district office, as well as site representation as well. I think the teacher voices were particularly impactful here, and I'm excited to share with you what we came up with. So in an effort to keep us focused and really centered on the discussion that we were attempting to have as a group, we agreed on a working definition of screen time, which is there at the top in italics, and that is time during the school day in which students are engaged with district-issued digital devices or Chromebooks for instructional purposes, including consuming, creating, or interacting with digital content. So on the left side in green, that includes watching or reading digital content, completing assignments on a device, engaging with an interactive program or platform, creating work using digital tools. But we also primarily discussed how to reduce non-instructional time use. So Chromebooks at lunch, for example, was a big conversation. Chromebooks during class time, and we'll get to some of the details of those recommendations as I proceed. Some of the major themes that emerged, I will say that in our very first meeting, I asked folks we read several articles. We're not unique in this sense as a district attempting to tackle this conversation. Many of you know that in the last several weeks, Los Angeles Unified School District issued screen time guidance and its biggest district in the state of California, impacting 1 million students or more. So we're not first, but we are definitely at the forefront. I know there are other districts in our county that are addressing this as well. I happen to be a parent with children in San Juan Unified School District, and I recently got a survey about screen time and instructional use in classrooms. So we are definitely timely in this and in line with what's happening across systems in our state and across the country as well. I took a couple pictures from our meeting when we were drafting some feedback on proposed recommendations. There were some really broad areas of concern where there was lots of consensus, discussion around student distraction and attention, over-reliance on screens instructionally, social isolation during unstructured time, that would be during recess, lunch, passing periods, or even during class. And difficulty monitoring appropriate use, as well as a really clear need for more specific expectations from the district and from leadership around what's acceptable and what's not acceptable. There were also a lot of tensions identified, right? The balance between student wellness and instructional flexibility. To what extent do teachers have the right to decide how they use technology? They have a lot of rights in that regard, right? And then we also have to consider the tensions between equity and access. Does reducing screen time, really extremely in our classrooms set some students up to not be prepared for more advanced requirements and higher grade levels where they have to produce and create on technology devices, right? Thinking about consistency versus teacher autonomy, considering technology as a tool versus technology overuse. I present some of these conundrums and tensions just to illuminate that there is not one clear, direct answer that would satisfy every concern. And I think sometimes too, in satisfying one concern, you inadvertently create another concern in another area, an unintended consequence, right? So all that to say, there's a need for lots of balance, but also careful consideration, keeping the student at the center, the needs of the teacher around how they create learning environments, and our support from a leadership perspective around what we do to set up the teachers to do that well for students on a daily basis. So I'm gonna actually dive in. I'm gonna show you everything that our team came up with. I'm not going to read all of it to you, but on each slide that I'm going to go through here, you've got kind of a themed batch of recommendations. They're in bold on the left-hand side. Those were the proposed recommendations of the group. There are also some complementary key considerations or trade-offs, right, or implementation notes that if you do this one thing, you might end up creating some other concern in another area. I will say that I was extremely impressed with the engagement of this committee. We actually ended up holding it in a hybrid fashion. There's some irony there, not lost on me. But I will say that I've facilitated lots of meetings on Zoom and Teams in the course of my career, especially in the last 5 years. And a lot of times people on Zoom and Teams zone out, right? They're not engaged. This group was incredibly engaged from minute one to the end of the meeting. We didn't ever lose anyone. No one dropped off. A lot of times people were online and then showed up halfway through because they were in their car participating. So one example of a way where technology can be a benefit. When it comes to talking about student use, this one was a big one. So device access and grade level limits. I think this was one where we had a lot of consensus, but a lot of nuance on each one of these. So there was broad agreement that technology use should be intentional, balanced, and developmentally appropriate. There was lots of support for significantly limiting Chromebook use and TK2 while preserving targeted instructional interventions that might rely on technology. There was an emphasis on increasing hands-on learning, collaboration, communication, and paper pencil tasks alongside purposeful technology use. I'd say that one was the biggest one and across all grade levels. This, let's not lose our ability to write with our hands, to talk with one another, but how can we do that and potentially use technology to support that, not replace the in-person and the tactile hands-on learning opportunities. There was definitely more varied perspectives at the secondary level with considerations for digital literacy, instructional needs, and of course, college and career readiness. There was a shared goal of establishing clear guardrails for purposeful technology use rather than an all or nothing approach across the system. On the second topic area around internet access and monitoring, there was strong support for internet restrictions for younger students. I hate to say it, no one likes YouTube at school. It was a very clear, unanimous feeling around YouTube. There are certainly teachers and there are actually a couple of our instructional programs that allow teachers to use YouTube for instructional purposes. And as I get to the end of this presentation, I'll certainly share out some of what we've heard from our internal staff about how some of these things can be implemented. But definitely the requirement or the request around blocking high distraction sites was pretty much unanimous. There was general support for limiting, emphasis on effective filtering and monitoring of district use issued devices, including use at home, which was an interesting one. We'll unpack that later around middle school, but certainly around, we hand the devices to kids starting in 6th grade and they're able to take them home and have them with them all the time, which sets up a constraint or a concern for parents in many regards, right? This is a district device. A lot of homework lives on this device. Absent parents standing over their children and watching what they're doing, it sets up a kind of a challenge for families, right? To have to figure out, are you doing homework or do I need to watch you, right? And then there's no constraints on the websites that students can access once they're under home Wi-Fi. So there's just a lot of
pieces to this. There was also, again, clear support for expectations and consequences for students that circumvent our monitoring systems. And of course, consistent staff use around using those monitoring tools. With regard to instructional practices, this was a really interesting one as well. There was lots of support for minimizing screen-based homework, especially in elementary grades, and an emphasis on increasing offline learning, including reading, writing, discussion. There was support for limiting whole class device use and prioritizing targeted instructional technology. And that would mean we're all gonna look at something together, the same thing on your device, versus every kid in the classroom going off and doing their own thing while sitting next to each other and not interacting with one another. And of course, a support for reducing reliance on low-value learning apps, like the gamified learning, which we know feeds into certain regions of the brain where dopamine is dispersed when you get these rewards. How can we balance that sort of appetite that students have because of so much of what they experience outside of school? And so much of that kind of quick reward system has become embedded in some of our technology apps that students use in our classrooms. And finally, this one was unanimous as well, the elimination of free time screen use. So sometimes that can look like, okay, you're done with this part of the lesson, there's still half the class or 2/3 of the class that's still finishing this task, then you can find something to do on your Chromebook. So there was pretty clear pushback on that being a strategy. I mean, people talked about having puzzles and coloring pages and in the elementary space and other things for students to do if they're done more quickly. Just a sidebar, I bought my kids, as a result of the screen time task force, I was like, oh, there's some things I used to love to do as a kid, and I used to love playing jacks. Does anyone remember what jacks are? Okay, so I bought all my kids jacks, and they're terribly uncoordinated. Like, they couldn't do it. It took me a couple of times, and then I was just whooping them. I was amazing at it. I was like, I'm still got it. I was doing 2 at a time, then 3, then 5. So I just, some of those things, and then I heard like a little sound in my kid's bedroom the other. I was like, what is he doing? Oh, he's practicing because he wants to beat me. So those are some examples of things that came up in the committee around ways to have appropriate, interactive, non-screen time activities that students can do, maybe not jacks because it can get competitive, but when they're done early. So those were some of the things we talked about there. With regard to teacher guidance and expectations, clear support around establishing screen time guidelines by grade level and scaffolding some increased use by developmental level, and how to provide best practices for effective technology integration, ensuring access to print-based curriculum options. So for some of our curriculum, it's exclusively digital. For other curriculum, it's available in both, or in some instances, there's a digital curriculum and some print resources. There was a lot of interest in bringing back more print-based resources. That's a good example of something that's got really good intentions, I think really healthy and strong for student development, and yet a huge financial impact if we were to eliminate all of our curriculum that is currently digital and replace it all with print, right? So this is a good example of a trade-off where how do we find that balance and support teachers in navigating that really well for students? And again, we talked about downtime came up a lot, the unstructured time. And then of course, promoting instructional strategies that increase collaboration, communication, and critical thinking without screens. And as with all of these, even that last one, I was a high school English teacher. You know how much I would have loved for my students to be able to give them each other peer feedback on a Google Doc instead of all the scribble on a piece of paper. But I think that's an example of where there might be a world where you need to have students type and give handwritten feedback and read and highlight and underline and give that back to them, and also a time and a place for using the tools that we have around comments and feedback and suggested edits. Finally, the topic around family and student engagement, this was a big one, and
pretty unanimous around all of these elements, and that is to provide stronger parent and student education, and not just about, hey, screens are bad, but around the why behind it, the research behind it, brain development, sleep, healthy limits, learning about the dopamine receptors in the brain and how those, you get so attached to immediate feedback, immediate rewards that you don't really want to do anything that's not going to give you that quick reward, right? So building up students' stamina and grit and tenacity around engaging in instructional activities and learning, that learning isn't always a quick reward with a game and feedback quickly, that sometimes you have to struggle through it, right? And of course, including screen time information at back to school events where we can, via Parent Square, any other ways that we can bring families into this conversation. And of course, because we're only talking about screen time in the schools, the outside of school time is something that we can't regulate, right? We cannot tell kids, don't go home and use your screens. I mean, we could suggest it and give them information, but we really do need partnership with families to also consider ways that they can support this effort in the home space around maybe playing jacks with their kids,
Dr. Pitt,
go ahead.
Big question between
Sure.
the previous slide and this slide. Families and teacher partnership, it is very important. I'm sure you guys might have talked about it. When teacher gives a small incentive kind of activities and kids can take home and parents can watch how long or how much time they were screen time and coming back and recognizing that in the classroom as an incentive.
Are you asking me a question?
Yes.
Can you
Did
say
you
that
guys
one more
discuss?
time?
It's a partnership between a teacher and the parents. Teacher will give a small slip and it takes home and a week time how much time the kid has been on the
Oh, I see
screen.
what you're
Parents
saying.
can meet and bring back on Friday. I was at Russell Ranch. The principal prizes those kids who are less screen time.
Oh, I see what you're saying. I
In
love
a public meeting, in a public morning broadcast, she calls those kids and prizes.
Oh,
so
that's a great idea.
Right? So that way, that kid's name can go to the entire school, and that motivates the other kid.
Sure.
And the other kid.
Gotcha. I love
The
it.
incentive is very important. That's what I'm thinking. I don't know whether you guys have got that perspective between this slide and the previous.
Yeah, these are great ideas. And I think as we continue this conversation and it becomes more normalized, and certainly there's a lot of push from families and community around this effort, I think that helps us in terms of our schools and how we run our schools to have more ideas like that and share. And I know that there's lots happening at some of our elementary schools around screen-free foxes. I know that's not what it is. I know the Folsom Hills, they have a thing, and I can't remember what it's. Yes, it's something. Foxes Unplugged, right? So there's things happening across several schools already where there's momentum around families working together and being collaboration. I certainly know that I've found that with friends of my children who are like, I'm trying to get my kid off the device. You want to go take them bike riding? I'm like, sure. Right? And so how can we help each other do that as families, but also how can we help promote that from the school perspective with some ideas as well?
Right. My thought is only for elementary. I'm not talking about high schoolers.
They need to get off their devices too. All right. So in terms of areas of alignment, kind of taking all of that into consideration, certainly there were some recommendations that had a lot of different perspectives, right? A high school teacher might feel somewhat differently than an elementary school teacher on a particular recommendation. Maybe an agreement on some piece of it, but a different implementation, different needs for autonomy or flexibility or developmental appropriateness, given the subject area, given the grade level, given other constraints around curriculum. So there were lots of areas of alignment, and then there were also areas that require additional exploration, right? So for example, the one-to-one take-home device models, there were lots of comments, especially at the middle school with regard to every child in middle school having a device, right? And how do we balance that if we say they stay in the classroom only? Just out of curiosity, I talked to our tech team and asked them how much would it cost to put carts back into the classrooms in middle school, and that's $400,000, right? So it's not nothing, it's not insurmountable, but it's not a small amount of money to go back to carts. So that's an example. So
there was lots of agreement on the one-to-one take-home devices, but there's a financial cost, right? And so balancing that when it comes to how our staff will take these recommendations and work towards what's plausible and possible right now and what will take some time and implementation is kind of the work moving forward. Yeah.
A quick question, it just dawned on me. We used to have Chromebook carts. Did we get rid of them?
Yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right, thank you.
Right, I know, yeah. So if we kind of broke these down into what's possible short-term, medium-term, long-term, I'm not gonna spend a bunch of time on this because I actually was able, just before the deadline, to get in some actual feedback from our staff. So I'm gonna just plow through this and actually be able to share with you tonight what our, taking a cursory glance at the recommendations. We had a group of folks in our curriculum and instruction team, our ed tech team, our technology team, kind of come together and think about what could we do by the beginning of the school year. And this is some of what they come up with. So our screen time task force has not actually ever seen this. This is brand new in the last week or so. And so it is possible to limit Chromebook use for elementary classrooms. That will also require supporting teachers and structuring that use that is limited to 30 minutes a day or less. Supporting teachers to shift practice to non-technology activities for any unstructured free time, and that definitely possible, not only TK8, but I think we can provide suggestions up to high school as well. We can put some constraints around Chromebook use during lunch and recess and TK through 8, unless supervised for schoolwork, makeup, homework. This is one that if we got rid of this time at lunch for students to access their Chromebooks, even in the high school, which there was a request for that as well in some regards, but how do we then account for students that might be athletes or might have a job after school or might not have time after school to do their homework and want to get some of it done during the school day? That presents a supervisory challenge around what are you working on? Let me see your screen, right? And we have to balance the implementation with the purpose of it. Again, blocking YouTube for kindergarten to 8th. 3rd to 8th grade teachers can curate curriculum that's specific, that can be disseminated via Edpuzzle videos or Google Video that are from YouTube, but those can be curated and we can put some limits on that as well. We can step up our Go Guardian and class tools training to staff and do that in a more robust manner. We can also update our beginning of the year device presentation for students to really emphasize appropriate use. So considering that it's June 4th and school starts on August 8th, 6th, August something. Yeah. It sounds like it's a long way off, but that's basically tomorrow. Yep. And considering that a majority of our staff are off, and this is gonna require really heavy input from teachers, from principals, from staff at schools who will be the ones holding the implementation and the support, monitoring, and consequences as well. In terms of what's possible for the middle of the year, collaboration with teachers to create screen time guidelines, including common recommended grade level non-technology choice activities, the development of technology best practices and presentations, and with site technology coaches to present to site staff. We can work with district teams to collaborate to curate parent resources about screen time. I actually think our screen time task force families have all the resources we need. So we just probably have to shoot an email and they'll give us everything we need. District teams, parent resources, I think I did that one already. And finally, at the end, working with ETIS and business services to create a plan for potentially returning carts to the middle school. What would that look like? How would that work? I will say with regard to the carts, there was also significant appetite from high school teachers around having carts in their classrooms as well, that they're feeling like they can adequately, and I'll put an asterisk on that, right? We have some courses that require students that are in, computer science or are creating digital tools, digital media, and need to have access to a computer. So again, with all of these, I'd put an asterisk and a footnote around the implementation. So I think I'll get to that at the end. Let me just keep going. I also asked this group to think about some initial screen time limits and thinking about how that can work. I think also the big question here is around our current approved programs, many of which
do exist digitally, some exclusively digitally, like I mentioned earlier. So thinking about for kindergarten to second grade, 0 to 30 minutes recommended per day. Small group use is suggested. When we talk about small group, that's either like in a small group, 3 kids, 4 kids working together on something, and they use the computer when needed, but they're working together and the computer is a resource, as opposed to something they're working on solo, alone, and not dealing with anyone else in the classroom. For grades 3 through 5, 0 to 45 minutes recommended. Thinking about the fact that, right, again, in asterisks, we've got some district curriculum that is on the computer, but also reading supports that exist on computer. For example, Lexia. Sora, which is a partnership with the Folsom Public Library around accessing digital library books. There's some surveys, some assessments that we do. So kind of keeping all of those things in mind. And finally, for grades 6 to 12, really thinking about a realistic range for how many minutes a day. I think a big piece around kind of the heart of all of it is having students, and I, as someone that spends a lot of time on a computer in a given day, it's something entirely different to be sitting as a passive consumer, as opposed to someone that's actively creating, developing, using critical thinking skills to engage with technology. And I think that's certainly the way that we want our students using our technology, hence the real strong pushback around mindless doom scrolling. I mean, we don't want kids scrolling in school, but if they're learning to use technology applications and devices in ways that are meaningful, useful, and current, right? There's a reason we don't go have whole sets of encyclopedias, no offense to the encyclopedias, but right, they're out of date almost the minute they get printed, right? So we have to understand that we're preparing children for a world with real-time updated information, but how to do that in a way that's meaningful, appropriate, and balanced is the goal. And so I will say that our task force really emphasized this idea that we're not trying to eliminate technology, but to ensure technology supports learning, wellness, and meaningful student engagement. And again, especially for our youngest learners who learn best while playing, while interacting with one another, while exploring, while using their imagination, while experiencing the joy of boredom and figuring out what to do next when you're bored. Like that's where the meaningful, developmentally appropriate activity happens, and we want to support that in constructive ways. Yeah, that's it. Sorry, I didn't realize that was the last slide. There you go.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Pitt. I just want to emphasize, under 2.5 months, a concept came to this board, of course. A few months ago, we were talking about screen time. March 19th, June 4th, exactly under 2.5 months. How much work has gone through? Thank you so much for that committee.
pleasure.
Thank you. I just want to open up to my colleagues if they have anything to share, comment.
Yeah, acting president?
Yes, sir.
That's the title.
YK?
Yeah, YK. Yeah, well, actually, I'm really eager to hear what the audience has to say. Just a couple of initial observations, and I actually spoke with the superintendent about this, that I noticed, they're listed as proposed recommendations. And kind of in my mind is, so what are we going to implement? Because this was not an action item. This was essentially information discussion for the board. And I asked the superintendent, does that mean an action item is going to be coming at the next meeting? And initially his feeling was that it wasn't, that this was something that staff could implement. It didn't require a board action. And while I appreciate that, and I like the fact that things don't have to always come to the board for a determination, I did share with him that I kind of felt that there is some form of policy amendment that we should at least entertain. Because if staff can change it to decrease screen time in 5, 6 years, there's no reason why staff can't go the opposite direction and not tell the board, well, we decided, yeah, we're going to do screens now. I think there needs to be some form of accountability that the board needs to be involved in these discussions. And the easiest way to ensure that that happens is some form of policy amendment. I don't know what that looks like, but and I'm sure it can be drafted in a way that wouldn't be too restraining on staff, because we certainly want the flexibility to do things without having to come to the board. But ultimately, I think the board, well, I'll speak for myself. I would like to see accountability when it comes to these screen usage, not just for the 2026-27 school year or 27-28, but for the 30-36, 30-37 school, or sorry, 2036-2037 school year. So that's just one observation. The other thing that I noticed, well, there was one thing that I didn't see in the presentation at all, was the recommendation that the screen time task force continue into the next school year.
I was just going to do that.
Okay.
But
yeah, well, I'm because I think this is not like a one and done. I think, as we work through these issues, it will be vitally important to get the feedback from this task force. And so I certainly would like to see that continue on a regular schedule. I also, early in the slides, saw the concept of prohibiting TK through 1 or TK through 2 Chromebooks. But then we kind of, at the end of the slide deck, would suggest, well, maybe up to 30 minutes is appropriate. I really don't see any benefit of, absent an IEP or something of that nature, of having screens in TK, kindergarten, first grade, at the very least those grades, and I really think that would be an easy implementation even for this fall, and the reason why is because they haven't been exposed to the screens in the first place, or at least
maybe not at school.
Well, yeah. But I do think that. And obviously I am concerned about the teachers and making sure that they have the ability to implement whatever the decision is made. But, I have great faith in the teachers. I mean, we turned technology on like that. So why can't we turn it off? They have the ability to teach with or without technology. We expected them to just dive right into technology in the pandemic, even though we were already introducing Chromebooks before the pandemic. But still, I think good teachers can teach with technology or without technology, or with limited technology. So I don't think perhaps that is as critical of an issue as perhaps we think. The only other thing that two final points. Lunchtime. Principal McFall, actually at the Sutter promotion, I was talking to him about lunchtime, and he informed me of something I was not aware of. He banned Chromebooks mid-year during lunch.
Yeah.
So, and I gave him a high five and a fist bump and said, yeah, I mean, he gets it. And so it is possible. In fact, one of our schools has already done it. And then finally, the 30 minutes a day that was listed in the presentation. At middle school, how is that exactly going to work? Because, they have 4 or 5 classrooms where how will one teacher know whether the they've used 30 minutes in a prior class, it sounds like it actually has the ability to compound on.
I think what you're touching on is the complexity of implementation, precisely. And that's exactly what staff need time to figure out so that we can offer guidance and not leave teachers and staff and students confused or unintentionally contradict ourselves where we said this is the standard, but then everyone kind of does this other thing, which means the rule or the expectation is not actually the rule. What's actually happening is really the culture of the place. So I think the tension you're picking up on is exactly the work moving forward, is taking these recommendations. And I agree, I shouldn't have used proposed, but these are what the task force is proposing. But perhaps a different word choice there. But for sure, that's the work now moving forward across various departments here in the district office. And most importantly, I think in collaboration with teachers and staff at sites around what are the things that we can't possibly think of sitting in this building, what blind spots or lack of knowledge do we have. We have to not just consult, but center the work of the folks closest to this work that are working directly with students who know what's best for kids. So I think moving forward, that's priority number one for our team, is how do we get teacher input, family input, and certainly the task force is one way to do that. But this is going to take some real clear collaboration with our schools around the nuances of any proposed recommendations or guidelines and expectations.
So the proposed recommendations, is it more of an action plan then? This is in fact what we're going to do. Is that, or is it?
I almost feel like we're in a semantic battle here. Maybe yes, maybe no. I think these are what we have to go on. I think what these represent to me is feedback from a representative group of our stakeholders who have said, this is what's important to us, all of the words on these pages. And I think our duty now as a staff is to go through each one of them and figure out what's possible and plausible now and how do we implement each one of those things. Will they all be exactly as written? I doubt it. Will we try and get as close to that or to the spirit of that? If the heart of it is that we want kids interacting with each other more intentionally, right? That any use of technology is actually as a tool and not as a crutch or not as a babysitter, then I think we can center that intention, even if it means there's 20 minutes on a Chromebook for a specific purpose, because that's the right instructional decision. So I think centering the teacher discretion around what is the most important thing for kids, my students in my classroom, so that I can teach the curriculum, the standards, and attend to the needs of my children. I think that's what has to be centered. If that means some time on a Chromebook for a specific purpose where students are engaging, creating, curating, developing, that's a very different interaction with the screen than a passive consumer of dopamine-filled prizes, for example. So I think that's where the complexity lives, and I think that's where we have to tease that out and get input from the folks that will be tasked with implementing this every day.
So I'll just use the middle school as an example. When would we make the decision to not issue Chromebooks and just go with Chromebook carts? It sounds like we have to repurchase them, but maybe they're available for cheap at a used office furniture place. But where is that something that we're even entertaining in August, or is that more of a to be determined based on additional time and thought through the process?
We need time, we need thought. I do not think that's a fair thing to do to teachers, to be honest. For teaching staff who ended a school year with every child having a device, and during their summer break to make a district decision that they won't have access, that their students won't have access to that, is a significant change in the expectations for teachers at the middle school and high school, but in particular middle school. So I think there needs to be some time for staff to figure out, in collaboration with those teachers, around what's possible and how to roll this out in a meaningful way. I think the thing that I'm very cautious of and concerned about is not making broad sweeping decisions from people in this building who don't have a sense of what it means for teachers in the classroom that we then have to renege on, or Worse would be to say this is the expectation and then no one does the expectation. And this is actually, that's not a real rule. We're not really doing that. We're just saying it for show. Because I think the heart of all of it, it really is around what's best for kids. And in order to make sure that we're making decisions that are best for children, we also have to consider what's best for the adults and the teachers that are tasked with teaching them. And they know more than I know about what it means to teach XYZ course every single day, right? That's not my daily work. And so I feel like our role at the district office is to come alongside our teachers, our principals, and determine if this is what our families, our teachers, our stakeholders are saying they want in these recommendations, what's the best way to get to that in a way that doesn't totally turn over the apple cart, but also is something that we can reasonably maintain, adhere to, and support in our daily practice.
Thank you. I really appreciate your presentation. Thank you.
Awesome. Trustee Clark, any comments? No, Trustee Lott.
I just wanted to thank you for your, I don't want to say layout, but the layout in terms of having the proposals, because oftentimes we come up with these grand ideas and don't look at the unintended consequences, and having it be a well-rounded decision and not brash is important. So thank you for that. In terms of, I think, kind of, Mr. Reed, what you were saying in terms of wanting to put something on paper, and maybe we can look at kind of creating a resolution for the next year that we are moving towards having less screen time, and give that time to really look at what would those time limits look like? And is it actually plausible to not ever have a second grader on a Chromebook when in third grade they have to type an essay for our state testing, and they have to learn typing? So there's a lot of little nuances in what we expect our kids to do at certain grade levels. And if we don't have that input from every single grade level, every single teacher of every single program that we use, and what programs work, what programs don't work, and really looking at all of those things. We also have tools for students with dyslexia that are online. We have all these tools that are available, and which ones work, which ones don't work, and just kind of give that time. But if we have a resolution from the board, from the district, that we're in agreement, this is what we're working towards, that over the next year, this task force is gathering all of that information. So come 27, 28, we could go in with very clear guidelines, expectations. When we're looking at new curriculum, we're able to make those decisions based on how much time is required to be spent online, things like that. And then also gives time for teachers who, if they've been assigning homework on Google Classroom since COVID, and we're coming back and we have to kind of readjust what that looks like, it gives them time throughout this year to kind of readjust and look at what that could look like in the future. So maybe a resolution would kind of help guide and just make sure that we are all on the same page. This is something that the entire district wants. We have support from parents. We have support, I don't know how much from students, but we have, I think we do. The student board members were advocating for it as well. Students, us, staff. So it is something that we do find important and we want to move towards, but also gives the time to make the right decision and do it in the right way.
Awesome. President Leret, any comments, ma'am?
I do, yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, and the only hesitancy that I have on like a board policy specifically is putting specific numbers and restricting those, because I think we have to also be realistic on our middle schools and high schools that have like audio visual classes and things like that on a block day at a middle school or on a block day at one of the high schools. That one class can eat up all of that time, because that is their actual intentional work that they're doing on computers. I think we've got some easy wins that we could probably knock off right away as far as like, on the free time, we don't need to necessarily be on the computers, and I think those are some of those areas where we could like kind of really knock those down quickly and easily, and, return to pull out a book and read a book or different things like that, it's like one of my beefs is in PE of like, hey, there's free time and it's PE time. And instead of finding something else athletic to do or physical to do, they're on the Chromebooks. That's kind of an annoyance for me. So But I think being really intentional about like the timeframes, because I think that if you're a teacher at an elementary level and you're with the students all day long, that's going to be really easy to control. I think that's going to be very difficult, and there would be taking an immense amount of coordination that happens at the high school and the middle school if we're going to say, hey, it's only 120 minutes of each one of them saying you only have like X amount of hours. You know, like that's going to take quite a bit of coordination on that. And I think we need to allow flexibility and some time in that for that discussion to kind of happen at the sites. Without just like implementing a time limits kind of right off the bat. So that's just my comments on that.
Awesome, awesome. Dr. Pitt, once again, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And one quick one though. Mr. Swanson, I know my board members are expressing a resolution to give a nod to you and the team. Do you want to talk to your staff and team and bring it back sometime later?
Yeah, I think it would make sense for me to be able to talk to the staff. If the board wants to bring a resolution, I think starting off the year in the first meeting in August, which is August 14, 15, somewhere in there, we could have a resolution on that agenda. I think through the task force process and through the conversations that are happening within the district, we kind of know that I think what Trustee Lofthouse is saying is like, the board is interested, but so is the district and so is the community in like reversing the inertia that is pushing kids towards screens back towards a more balanced approach. And so I think a resolution really kind of anchors that perspective from the governance team, and that you can then hold us accountable to the work that we continue to do, not just next year, but for the next handful of years as technology continues to advance and invite young people and adults into it. How are we still maintaining balance on what we understand is best for the human brain? And that is what Dr. Pitt shared through her presentation with interactions and conversation and nature and all the things that really matter for the development of our brain in a healthy way.
Yep. And I think this board is already expressing we want the task force to continue next year. Trustee Clark?
I'm all for the task force continuing. Ms. Lofthouse, I agree. I think maybe a reso should probably be worked on. What I would like to see, however, we have 2 new student board members coming on board. I would love to hear their input and their thoughts on the reduction of screen time. So I'm not sure how soon you want this resolution done. I would assume probably at the beginning of the school year or sometime in September or October. But I would love at least our student board members and or SAB to chime in on this. I think that's something that they would take interest in.
I bet our new SAB members or presidents would love to have agenda items for their first meeting.
I think so.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Clark. And yes, I think at least you have it. Once again, Dr. Pitt, please convey our heartfelt appreciation to all the task force members on our board behalf, please.
I will send them an email and say thank you.
Okay, thank you. And any public comments, ma'am?
Yes, we do. Dale Alto, followed by Amanda Ross.
Hello, thank you for having me tonight, allowing me to speak. My name is Dale Alto. I'm a father of 2 boys at Carl Sundahl, going into first grade, going into a TK, so I'm speaking more to the elementary side of things tonight, but not really appreciate, coming down, I didn't know what the board's position on this was or what the task force was going to find. I just found the slides in my email a little while before the meeting tonight, but it was fantastic, and I really just want to say thank you and appreciate that you guys are looking into this. It sounds like everyone's on the same page. Everyone understands the deleterious nature of increased screen time, and yeah, I guess from my perspective, I would agree with Mr. Reed. I mean, as K through 2, I don't think there's any data out there that supports having screen time available to kids of that age. If there is, I don't know of it. Not being an expert in the field, but I would highly support that proposal and recommendation and advocate for minimal to 0 screen time in that age group. And just want to, and anecdotally, I'm an oral and maxillofacial surgeon. I see a big part of my practice or my work is dealing with children, middle school to high school kids. And I'm 47 years old, so I grew up, I was in first grade in 1985, so there was no internet, no screens back then. And you know, what I'm seeing now, I've been practicing for 17 years, and I'm seeing these, you know, we see kids from everything from wisdom teeth to complex jaw surgeries in my practice, and we're seeing these kids. The communication aspect is just, I've been seeing the last 5 or 6 years increased screen time. I've got kids in the office on the screen as I'm talking to them at their consult, at their appointment, and it's gotten crazy. So I just appreciate everyone taking this seriously, and I think I'm confident everyone will. I know it's obviously a complex, multifactorial problem to solve, and there's lots of on different levels, middle school, high school, different levels, but just appreciate the work on it. And yeah, I just want to give from our, you know, some feedback of parents and our friends and whatnot. It's a concern amongst most of the families out there, and just appreciate the work. And I know it's a complex problem, so thank you. Thank you, guys.
Amanda, followed by Nicole.
Evening, board. Dr. Pitt, thank you so much for your presentation. That was great. My name is Amanda Ross. My daughter goes to Carl Sundell. She's going to be going into first grade next year. Very exciting. And, you know, I was really concerned when I signed the little form about internet usage for my first grader, about how to use it appropriately, because obviously I have not ever had her on the computer at home. We do not use the computer. She's outside playing with friends. And so when I'm hearing that she's going to get a Chromebook in first grade, that concerns me, because I don't think she's prepared to have that kind of technology introduced to her at that age. I applaud the task force. Thank you so much, board, for putting it together. I think a lot of its recommendations are excellent. I really hope that staff moves forward with those TK through second grade recommendations this school year. I think it's really important that we start now on the low-hanging fruit that we can do. I understand middle school, high school, there's more complex issues. When we talk about elementary school, I really don't think the kids should have computers till 5th grade. And I was shocked to hear that they are taking tests in 3rd grade and have to type an essay. And if I have to go to the state board, I will do that, because I do not think a 3rd grader should have to type an essay for a test, personally. I'm hearing things about 1st graders now from parents in my neighborhood where a 1st grader knows what Google is and Googles things. A 1st grader's watching Disney movies during their free time because they can have Chromebooks during free time. And I also hope the task force starts looking at the use of Promethean boards. That's also screen time. We have a huge screen in the computer and the teacher is putting on a movie. I'm hearing about kids watching Hey Arnold during free time because they've, you know, completed what they needed to and the teacher needs to do some admin work. So I want to make sure that we put in safeguards, not just for Chromebooks, but how we're using screen time for elementary school kids in the classroom. I mean, I think kids should be making a poster board. I don't think they need to know how to use Google Slide Deck in 3rd grade, right? I think that this is so key and important, and I really hope that you make this task force come back regularly next year and report out on what changes they've made, what those changes look like in the classroom, what the feedback has been from the teachers and the parents and the students for those changes, and that you keep this momentum going, because I think this is so important for our students. I believe in the public education system. I want my kid to be in this school district through her entire school career, right? And I think she's gonna get the best education out there, and I think reducing screen time is gonna help her get there. So I really appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Nicole Heine, followed by Earl Smith.
Evening again. I have my parent and teacher hats on tonight. So grateful for all this work. Dr. Pitt, thank you so much. One glaring hole I still see is we're giving kids devices and they're going home and the parents have no control over any time limits or anything. So while I was sitting back there, I was like, hey, like what's out there, right, that works in tandem with school Chromebooks? Go Guardian has an app. They've had a parent app since 2020. They say, at least what I was researching, they said it's not an extra cost or anything, but it allows parents to monitor times, also set time limits for those out of school hours. And I think that's a missing piece to the discussion we've had here tonight, because everything in the classroom, this is the direction we need to go. But there's still all those hours that if you give my kid a Chromebook, I want to be able to control their access to that world. I have, my oldest daughter's 24. I've been doing this for quite a long time. We waited until she was in 8th grade to get a cell phone. It was very locked down, and then gradually as she got older in high school, we released those training wheels, right? And she had to govern herself better. But an 8th grader against Facebook and Pinterest and all the money behind those is gonna lose every single time, right? And so that was one thing that I saw. A couple of cost things were brought up. I had discussed this earlier in the year when we were renewing some of our curriculum textbook costs. It looks like we were being charged every year for our licensing fees, and that was the exact same cost as buying textbooks, which can last longer than a year. So I think that there are gonna be some creative ways that we can look at the money issues, right? There's also gonna be some teachers that might not want Chromebooks. As a math teacher, I wouldn't need Chromebooks in my classroom. I have a Promethean board or screens if we need to do something all together, and maybe a couple because somebody was gone and they need to catch up on something. But my whole class is never gonna all be on Chromebooks as a math class, right? We're up around the classroom, writing on boards, working together. And we've, as a district, have spent a lot of money training all of our upper grade math teachers to do this more collaborative learning. And then for elementary, right, we just adopted that new math curriculum that is so different and much more hands-on. I mean, every lesson in elementary school used to start with a video. Maybe 5 minutes, maybe longer, with a silly jingle at the beginning. Like, this is where we need to do hands-on, and I'm so grateful for all of this work. Thank you.
Thank you. Earl Smith, followed by Tony Ruiz.
Good evening, Board, Mr. Swanson, Madam President. I want to be clear. I don't want people to assume I don't support the teachers. So a suggestion, and Faith wanted to be here especially to speak on this, but I wouldn't allow her since she does have some mental suffering from the district, not just including what happened last board meeting, but before. As you guys know, you guys paid for therapy for her. Question comes to mind. First, I want to bring up the dopamine, make a comparison to that to dopamines of drugs. But first, a suggestion. TK, kindergarten, first grade, I believe the teachers start 2 days before school. Maybe have a questionnaire right then and there and ask the teacher, do you absolutely need the Chromebooks? And if their answer is no, support them on removing them there. I also want to make sure the teacher is supported, because if they've prepared things and is on a pace of teaching a certain way and then you just yank it from underneath them, that brings a whole lot of stress on the teacher. And I don't think starting pay at elementary at $58,000 is enough money. It is not enough money. And then I'm gonna also say it's not enough money when, and we understand with COVID, and so I'm not taking away from that. And I think the district did an amazing job through COVID. But with the kids when they're third grade, fifth grade, and they've had this, that's dopamine that's been turned on at the school. That's the environment that I'm here to learn, and this dopamine has been turned on, that teachers need to be supported and the students need to be supportive when a student is having a dopamine withdrawal. I think with the amount of children that are in a classroom and a teacher trying to manage that is already hard. I work one-on-one with students, maybe 2 students, and I see with the kids and their dopamine, I have this talk with parents all the time. And I, as a teacher, I have to be quick and move to this subject, that subject, to manage the dopamine that they've experienced. I can't imagine what that's like with 30 plus students. And especially look at a pay, and you don't support the teachers on that, I would support the teacher why they left. And I know there's a teacher shortage in California, but I want you to think about that as support with the dopamine for the children, so their transition would be good. And also there's some kind of psychology and maybe some PhD recommendations there, but also for the teacher to recognize where a student may be having a crisis, or even the teacher is having a crisis and managing it. Thank you.
Thank you, Tony, followed by Karthik.
Hi there. Tony Ruiz at Vista Del Lago. I was on the task force. I will admit freely that I am probably on the more kind of militant side of this issue. I have brought blue books back to my classroom. In fact, I had a former student visit right at the end of the year, and I was asking her how she takes exams at UC Berkeley. And apparently, the one thing that has changed since I was in college is that they still give blue books, but they are in a vending machine now. There's actually a blue book vending machine. Where the hell was that 35 years ago? One thing that the board could do, and I realize that, you know, with a lot of what we're dealing with this stuff, it's very nebulous. It's a lot of moving parts. I am certainly of the opinion, and I've been doing this for 22 years, that if I can't do my job without tech, then I don't need to be doing this job. I can do this job whether I have tech or not. Obviously, for different subject matters, I'm an English teacher, you know, that's unique to me. I'm not speaking for all teachers here, but one thing that would very much help, one thing we saw after the introduction of the Chromebooks, the one-on-one Chromebooks with students, is a lot of families giving their kids personal laptops that the students would bring to school instead of the Chromebooks. And when those laptops come, that is something I cannot control. I can't see them on GoGuardian. I can't know what they're doing. I can't know what programs they have. I can't know what hotspot they're using. I can't control that. We have, as an English department, we have put it in all of our course expectations, no personal laptops. It would be more effective if we had an actual board policy about that. It would help us tremendously to reinforce that, because if it's just the teacher doing that, we don't necessarily have the support to back that up. So if we want to talk about concrete things we can do now and put in place for this school year, not allowing individuals to bring their own computers and devices to class would be a gigantic help. The last thing, I realize that one of the big issues is because all of our testing is done on computers. I don't know whose brilliant idea that was, because most industrialized countries around the world take their standardized testing on paper. So whatever we as a district can do to encourage the state of California and whoever is behind the CAFS testing to bring paper tests back, that'd be a big help.
Thank you. Karthik, followed by Jessica Smith.
So I came today to talk about the Climate Awareness Education Initiative resolution, which will be pretty soon. But this is a really big talk today. I just want to get in. So there aren't many students here, obviously, today. And I think once the SBMs are here, I think their voice is really important here. But since there aren't many other students here, because I don't think many students want to spend like 3.5, 4 hours of their summer here. But I'm here because I want to be. But anyway, so I think it's really important that we consider that this district has obviously elementary, middle school, high schoolers. So I feel like lots of stuff I saw for elementary school, I could see working. But the second we get to middle school, like especially high school, I feel like some of the stuff I saw wouldn't really work. Because in high school right now, everybody has a phone, right? So like if we get rid of Chromebooks, how much of that would just go to the phone? I know kids use their own personal hotspots from their phone on Chromebooks. That can't be restricted by the district. But I'm sorry if I'm all around the place. I didn't take notes. I just want to speak about what I heard. So another thing, CASP testing was just brought up. So I put up my old CASP records, which are available on PowerSchool to me. So in 8th grade, I got a 2,850 out of 2,850 on my ELA CASP, and I was really proud of that personally. But a big part of that is the essay. And I remember my prompt. It was an argumentative essay. So on here, you get back your organization on the essay, the evidence and elaboration that you used, and the conventions like grammar. So that's all graded on that CASP. So that's time basically, because you take that while the school day. So I remember quite well almost hitting the word cap on that CASP argumentative essay. So that means I had to type a lot. And I had to learn how to type. So if you start restricting Chromebook use, for example, kids still need to be able to like type pretty fast, because if you don't finish within that time period, you go to the library to finish it. If you don't finish it within that certain time, even in the library, like they say you have to finish it. So kids need to be able to type that fast to be able to like take the CASP testing. So until like California as a state, I guess, changes how they work, because if we're expecting kids to take CASP on a Chromebook, you have to expect them to like teach them how to type on a Chromebook. So I use NitroType for that. It's a gamified version that teaches you how to type. Dopamine probably was not good for me, being honest. But that's how it taught me to type. Like the words per minute, you'd race against your friends, and I'd say dopamine-wise, probably not good for me. But that's how I learned to type at that speed. And then also, I just want to say, like, everybody here and all the teachers, I really respect what you guys do in the classrooms and how you help the students. But another thing was math. So I'm in high school right now, and high school SATs. That's done, on the SATs math portion, you get the Desmos scientific calculator. I use that on my math test. Sure, we could go back, you could use the calculator, but right now, you use Desmos. And using Desmos is such an important part. There's like so many videos that teach you how to use Desmos best to ace your SATs, do well in your SATs. So we can expect kids to be able to just adapt when we take away the resources that they need to succeed right now in high school itself, and they're gonna need for the rest of their life. So I don't know on this task force if students are there. If not, I was 8th grade representative of Sutter Middle School for the SAB, and next year I'm gonna be an SAB rep. So please get students in on this. Elementary school, I agree, we don't need it. Preschool, we don't need it. But especially middle and high school, I think it's really important that some of the things that are brought up don't be implemented. Respectfully. Thank you.
Thank you. Jessica Smith, followed by Cynthia Meyer.
Hi, I just want to say thank you, everyone, for really taking this into consideration. Dr. Pitt, all of the work that you have done with this task force. I think it's truly amazing that Folsom is in the lead. We're a leader in our community, in California, in the nation, really taking a lot of this new research into consideration and making some thoughtful recommendations. So I'm really excited about what the board is going to do. I love the idea of a resolution, and then taking the time to really dive in and figure out what can we implement at each grade level. Utilizing teacher voice, because I'm not a teacher and I can't know exactly the best way to roll this out as far as their workflow. So I do want to take into consideration another topic that I think is tightly tied to Chromebook utilization in our schools, which is class ratios. At this time, I think that Folsom Cordova, our class sizes have expanded to 35 fifth graders. I know that we have 37 kids in middle school classrooms, and I know that sometimes they start above 40 while they're still doing the class shuffle. And I don't know about you, but I cannot imagine 35 fifth graders in one room that I'm supposed to manage. That is a little terrifying. I will say, as I said, I'm a nurse, and I know that there's research out there that shows that patients are sicker than they used to be. And so how we have responded in the medical profession is that as a nurse, I take care of less patients. I have more resources. I have support staff, more nursing assistants. And in my mind, I'm looking at education. Students are harder to teach than they used to be due to attention fragmentation, due to more IEPs and 504 plans, yet class sizes are larger than they used to be. And so that doesn't truly make sense to me. And so I think that as we're making these recommendations moving forward, I think that that is something to take into consideration over the next year. There will be some measures, hopefully we'll be able to save in cost by, maybe buying less Chromebooks or utilizing textbooks for a longer period of time than annual licensing. And so I really hope that we figure out a way to make sure that appropriate class sizes are an important budget item moving forward. So thank you so much for taking all of this into consideration.
Thank you. Cynthia Meyer?
Hi, so since I'm here anyhow, I might as well give you a penny for my thoughts. There's a couple things. One, a thoughtful process of laying out where you want the kids to be by the time they hit those I have to type for 5 hours essays, and backtrack and figure out what computer skills the kids need to learn in each grade to be able to reach that. One of the biggest drawbacks for my kids is typing skills. They, even with the games and the dopamine, they do not want to sit down and learn how to type. And I didn't understand it. And then I sat down and I tried to type on their Chromebook. I challenge each and every one of you to use a district Chromebook for 1 week and see how it affects your efficiency and productivity. Because let me tell you, it does not have both a delete and a backspace. It only has one or the other. Some of the keys don't work. So for people bringing their own devices, I understand the challenges, but there is no way I would have survived high school if I had to use one of the district-issued Chromebooks. So take that into consideration, the backtracking agenda for what skills need to be happening. Another thing that I would suggest is, is really something we can do now, immediately, before the start of the school year, and that is to improve the security on these Chromebooks. My son just went through Center Middle School, and as a parent, I cannot go in and block websites. I do not have the ability to go into their account and block a website. I had to call the district office. My children, both of them, my 5th grader and my 8th grader, were getting advertisements to join ICE while they were watching YouTube videos that were provided by their teacher. So for some people, that's fine. For me and my family, that is not fine. So I would say tightening that security or allowing another level of security is absolutely essential. As for using the computer during free time, my son would not have passed his classes if he couldn't use his Chromebook during free time to complete assignments. He really needs that additional time. So if there is a space, maybe a study hall space where they can use that during free time rather than eliminating it completely. Again, we talked about there's so many angles to this. On the security, I just also want to say that during free time, one of the worst days I've had so far with my kids in school is when my son came home and told me that several of the kids in his class were on their Chromebook playing Five Nights at Epstein's, which is a game, a spinoff of Five Nights at Freddy's. And they were playing that during school class time. So again, if we can have safeguards, we can have improved security, I would be ever so grateful. Thank you.
Thank you. I see no other comments for this section.
No other comments, okay. Any last comments from our board? Thank you, Risha. Oh, we have a sign. If you can bring the little one little forward, ma'am. We want to see it. Yeah, come on, young man. Yes. Wow. No Chromebooks. Awesome. Mr. Swanson, I'm so tempted to take a picture with that kid and publish it as a part of this agenda item.
I will only suggest you take a picture if you have a Polaroid or an old school camera, because I would not suggest you use technology.
What grade are you in? What grade is he in? Okay.
You finished kindergarten. Congratulations. Awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah. Parents, thank you so much for bringing him. Yes. Just to summarize, Mr. Swanson, I think, yes, we are going to go with the proclamation and involve more kids and new SAB. It's all super. There are few low-hanging fruits I think the committee has already identified. For that, we don't need any of our inputs, right? Sending the technology side of tightening the things and stopping even though the school books are not working as expected, but it is not allowed the private devices coming into our site. So things like those, I don't want to list those ones what I have. Dr. Pitt, I'm sure your task force has already identified some of those low-hanging fruits. I think we can implement those ones starting from August 6th. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Swanson. I think with that, I'm going to move on to item 12, public hearing and our discussion and action items. Item 1, it is a public hearing. 2026-2027 tentative budget.
Yeah, so invited Mr. Martin up to the lectern. Before Mr. Martin begins his presentation as it relates to the 26-27 tentative budget, a reminder to this board, today we see the presentation. There's no action on this, so this is the time to ask all the questions around this item, and there's a couple hearings following this. They will come back for a vote at the June 18th meeting. So take it away, Mr. Martin. Thank you.
All righty. Well, good evening, folks. So we do have quite a bit of updates. Excited what is looking like it's coming down the pipe from the state. And so we're just going to go over that information for you tonight. Again, this is just our standard boilerplate at the beginning, saying that what you're actually going to be approving are the SACS documents, the official documents that go to the state. And that is what you will be approving as the budget. That goes to the Sacramento County Office of Ed and then gets approved or reviewed, I should say. And so we do believe we have everything current as of the information that we had, which was about May. We start working honestly in November, December on this budget. So it's a long haul process for us. But what we are mostly focused on here is the general fund in this summarization. So building the budget. So big changes here that we saw was a lot of impact with regards to the governor's budget proposal. When it comes to the revenues and expenditures. And so we'll talk more about those things shortly. But also within building the budget, you can see there that salaries and benefits are about 85% of our expenditures. So position control and those systems are the core piece of our expenditures in being a service group. You do see there are quite a few vacancies as of April. I can share though that those numbers have all improved since then. And so we can share that majority of the certificated positions have been filled at this point, or at least there are offers in place for a good many of them. And then on the classified side, we're continuing to work through those processes. There are certain areas that do have larger openings still around our ELLP program, transportation, food service, special education aids. Those are kind of the standard ones. We do have a hiring fair coming up for classified, so we're working on that as well. And then I just do want to recognize that the budget also does include identified most of the savings that the Budget Advisory Committee that identified about $7 million. And so we have a slide here just sharing that. And two of the members, Mr. Reed and Mr. Shalmo are both on that committee. And I think we've presented this information out to the group as a whole, but just want to share through the work of the committee, $7 million in unrestricted expenditures or net savings, I should say, were identified. Some of it was actually revenue. Some of it was expenditures moving or being eliminated. And so a combination of all those things are included in this document as well with regards to the updated budget. So enrollment and attendance, we continue to show enrollment growth, again, being only about one out of every 10 districts that are growing in the state of California. We are in a lucky place in that regard. We are projecting somewhere in the neighborhood of around 300 students growth in the next few years, each year. We did drop our attendance rate a little bit this year. In 25-26, we ended at 94.81. Now remember, that's a static number off of CBEDS. So it's actual ADA divided by the CBEDS enrollment. And so we shared, I think before already, the fact that our enrollment actually from October actually dropped a little bit in the district, which that was the first time in the last few years that has occurred. So we're monitoring that. So we wanted to be a little more conservative. We are assuming a little lower attendance to enrollment. We would love to get that number higher. And we actually hope that will be in place because we are working on attendance recovery, academic recovery for the upcoming year. We're putting systems in place around that. Continuing on, so here's the revenue assumptions. I shared some of these things here with the COLA. So the governor is proposing what is affectionately known as a super COLA. So the statutory quota would be 2.87%. There is a 1.44% additional increase in there. With that, though, there is an additional cost associated with 14 weeks of paid pregnancy disability leave. So if that was to be implemented, and our understanding is it runs not concurrently, but consecutively. So there is a potential cost there associated with substitutes, long-term subs, all of those pieces with that. So using some of the information that we could gather, we believe that there will be an additional $1 million to $2 million cost associated with that leave. And so that 1.44% COLA is there to partially absorb that cost. and we'll take up a good chunk of that COLA. Additionally, the governor is proposing ongoing increase to the base allocation for special education. If you guys remember before, special education allocation is a per ADA amount, regardless of the service or needs of those students. And so as, and it has been for the last few years for us, as our percentage of our population has increased with regards to students with disabilities, that has generated additional costs to us. But the governor has proposed an increase that would generate about $7 million in additional funding that we have not received, but our contribution is still looking at about a little north of $50 million for 26, 27, even with that additional revenue. But it helps. It definitely helps, and it is a good portion of the deficit dollar amount that we were projecting for this year. There's one-time dollars, so these are categorical one-time funding. It does have discretionary ability, meaning it can be spent on quite a few items within the district, but it is one-time in nature, and it's about $20 million there. For federal and other state programs, if we don't have details, we pretty much use the previous year's allocation unless we're aware of some kind of change coming through the pipe. And just so you know, on the timing on that, we should have in the next, I forget the actual date they have to sign it by. I think it's the middle of the month or so. But we believe that the governor's proposals, along with what the Assembly and the Senate are looking at, are pretty close aligned. So we anticipate that all of the things that are the big ticket items will pass in some form. So, next slide is just our LCFF quick calculation. You see there we are looking at about $266 million in LCFF funding for the upcoming year. Next slide here is just the revenue changes from our estimated actuals for 25-26. So more or less at this point, we're doing two things. We're updating our budget for 25-26, and then looking at adopting our budget for 26-27 and the difference. You see LCFF about $13 million in there, and that's due to COLA and growth, district-wide enrollment growth and attendance, or ADA from that. Other state income, you do see a little bit there. That is a identification that we caught through the SBAC process or through the conversations with our leadership team and our technicians at our accounting department, and they were able to identify some ability to gather some additional revenues from the state. And so we're seeing about almost $800,000, actually over $800,000, I believe, in reimbursement from the state for our transportation services. So we weren't coding and maximizing that, and so we're getting that. And then you see some one-time funds disappearing out, and that's local income there. On the restricted side, the big item there is the other state income. That, again, is the one-time funds that are coming in from the state with regards to the allocation from the governor. So, expenditures, again, on the unrestricted side of the budget, right now at adopted budget, about 90% of our expenditures are staff. Overall in the budget, it's about 85%. Keep in mind, though, that at adopted budget, we always share that we budget all the positions fully costed into the budget. So we know that realistically there is going to be some savings generated from that around the impact of unfilled positions, those types of things. So that it is just at adopted budget. And then during the course of the cycle from adopted budget to first interim, second interim, we will reduce that expenditure line as we get closer and closer during the process. Pretty much all the other budget lines, part of the SBAC process has been auditing and kind of going ground up on all of our departments. And so through that process and then our normal process, we went ahead and did our budgeting for all of our expenditures for all other areas. One of the staffing pieces here, just want to share, being that it is the majority of our budget, we are a service entity, right? We provide a service, and so it takes staff to do those things. You can see our FTEs, we continue to climb over the last 3 years, I guess it would be 24, 25 to 26, 27, what we're budgeting. We're about up 200 FTE. Now remember, specifically for the CSEA group, FTEs a lot of times are more than one person, just because to be an FTE, it would be an 8-hour position, and we have a lot of positions that are under 8 hours in the classified ranks. And so when you see 138 FTE, that's probably a lot more than that in actual positions. The reason for that in CSEA, a lot of it is around expansion of other programs that either the state has implemented, like the ELOP program, the after-school program, that is primarily staffed through classified staff. Another big one is special education. When we're adding a class, any kind of self-contained classroom for students with disabilities, it often comes with one teaching position and up to 3 certificated positions. or classified positions, I'm sorry, aid positions. And so that obviously increases there as well. Food service is also another area with universal meals. We've continued to expand in that program. And then a lot of the mental health supports, community school supports, a lot of those activities, those are classified positions as well. And so you see growth there as well. So just showing where that is, that's why CSEA, or the classified group, is by far the largest growth area for us as a district. Next slide here, a lot of small print, but this is all the expenditures. You can see that pretty much across the board on the unrestricted side, salaries are increasing in the benefits. That's including because of additional positions, but also the filling back of unfilled positions if there were any. Same on the certificated side. There is actually a little bit of staffing decrease on the certificated side on the restricted accounts. Most of that is around special education and the programs and the restructuring we're doing within those systems. And then when you bring it all to the bottom line, we are anticipating expenditure increase. That is part of the process between the growth, our step and column costs, and then just inflationary costs on other programs as well. So bringing it all together, actually, I have a couple slides in here, always at adopted budget, around services, because I know that is an area of question. And so we actually spent quite a bit of time on it this year with our SBAC group, and we are going to continue to look at that process and area. But about $43 million, or about 11% of the budget, is spent on services. And so within that, it breaks out into different categories. And so about half of it is, or 27 million of it, actually is more than half, is actually around other services. And I have another slide to break that out. But in these other accounts, you see utilities, rentals, insurance, and travel and conference. That makes up the remaining balance. The big one I would speak to on all of those things is utilities. We do have a position. We are able to finalize that position now with our CSEA labor partners. And we're bringing on a position that will be working around energy efficiency. And we believe that position will be able to generate some savings to the district beyond their cost plus some. So I think we originally identified, hopefully in the first year, somewhere in the neighborhood of $500,000 or more in savings is our goal. And as we have more and more requirements around having electric buses and other systems in place, there's an opportunity to continue to grow that savings. It's part of the green energy conversation that we've heard some of the students speak to, and some of those things as well. And then travel and conference, you'll see that that's getting a smaller amount over time. A lot of travel and conference is around professional development, and that is the funding for that has decreased to educator effectiveness funding. We've more or less spent the rest of that down. Mileage reimbursement is going up because the reimbursement rate has jumped quite a bit, and so we see that as a bigger point. And then insurance, that's the other one. I've jumped on my high horse on this one a couple of times, just about the continued impacts of cost of that, and so that's something we're monitoring as well. Then we drive into the other services line, so that was $27.4 million, and breaking out where we see the largest portion of that, and that is special ed related or services for students with disabilities. With that, about 35% of that amount is in there. And one of the areas that I just want to speak to the board about is the fact that through our SBAC process, but also our conversations at district executive level, we've talked about a lot of those costs are around non-public agency, non-public school. And so we are having conversations about how can we potentially find ways. I'll share that the special ed team has done a great job. We started the year almost at 100 students, and I believe we just shaded under 90 now. Some of those students are aging out, but some of those are also because a position was specifically identified to work with those students and families, look at the cases, see if there's an ability to bring those students back. And then any placement into a non-public school, there is quite a due diligence process to ensure that we've done everything on our power before students are offered those programs. And so that's something we're going to want to continue to grow and work on going into the future, because you can see there it is a good portion of the remaining funds of kind of what we would consider outside servicing or supports or those types of activities. ESS, I just want to recognize that one. That is the vendor that we use now for our classified pool. So this cost has historically shown up as a salary and benefit cost, because we normally have historically paid subs under that fund. We now do it through ESS. And so the benefits there have been that the ESS, they handle all of the placement for us. They actually help recruit. They hire the subs versus us, where we just bring them in on a timesheet. They actually hire them. They do a whole process with them. They help train them up. And then they've helped us with our fill rate. So you can see we've gone from about a 30% fill rate to over 60% fill rate. So ultimately, this is actually costing us more money because we're getting more subs, but it actually is more impactful to our students and our teachers and the supports in the classroom because now we have, majority of these are really around special education. And so we're happy to see those filled. But the actual rate that we pay when if we did have our subs in-house and we were having to pay the pension costs and all the other costs associated with those subs, it's about cost neutral for us. So they have that, and they actually have 2 employees that their full-time job is to place subs for us as well. So we actually see this as quite a beneficial program for us as a district. You can see other activities, instructional classroom, about 17%. Those are services. ELOP is a good chunk of that in that they get a lot of vendors that provide some of the services when it comes to some of the athletics and cooking classes, things like that. They use that as part of their fill day. You gotta remember, they have to offer a 9-hour day every day. And so at least 3 hours, if not more, if it's a student, like a TK student, or like a kindergarten student or a TK student, or TK student, I should say, who starts for half the day. And then additionally, they have to offer 30 full 9-hour instructional days outside of the school year as well. So that's a lot of staff time that they have to fill through the program. You also do see software licensing, about 20% of those funds that are in there, of the 27 million. And so that is another one where we're auditing and reviewing through the SBAC process. And then legal is another one that we'll continue to have conversations about 2%. Continuing on. So when we bring it all together, what's very positive, exciting to see, you can see estimated actuals. That's our closing of the books for 25, 26. We are still projecting about $9 million deficit for this year that we're finishing up. But that is down from 13 million. So remember, we started the year at over $13 million deficit. Work that we've done, along with open positions, along with a lot of other activities, we've gotten that down to about $9 million. I do anticipate that to drop even a little bit less once we actually close the books, just because of unspent funds or activities that end up happening in July versus June. So the expenditure gets transferred over. But the bigger item is in the adopted budget, and when you look at that column, you see a $17,000 deficit. That's not a deficit. That's $17,000 on $400 million budget is pretty much a balanced budget. And so that's a very exciting thing to see. Now, I will share that that's before negotiations with our labor partners. But I think even with that and having some structural deficit, we understand that that will happen. But overall, what we see is a continued trend towards a lower and lower deficit number so that we can have a positive budget. And that will give us a lot more flexibility going forward when it comes to all of the activities that we do want to implement as a program for our students and for support of our staff and all of those things. Ending fund balance, so you see a combination there. You do see the restricted counts jumping up. That is because of the $20 million that we talked about that the state is sending over to us. We don't have all of those dollars. We don't even have the majority of those dollars even budgeted for expenditures at this point in time. And so the remaining funds are all unrestricted. But you can see there, we actually did set aside about $8 million for negotiations. And it will end up actually being probably higher than that once we finalize settlement with all of our labor partners. But it is reflective in there that we have money set aside as part of the adopted budget process. We always say that if we aren't settled, we will hold money aside for that settlement or negotiations. And so that's what you see there. A multi-year projection. Multi-year projection is looking very positive. Again, looking at adopted budget and then 2 years into the future, which is the requirement. We see here, you see the COLA numbers. They are projecting rather large COLAs in the out years, 3.3 and 3.09. You see our UPP, or unduplicated percentage, remaining pretty flat around 39%. And then enrollment continuing to grow, as we talked about. ADA continuing to grow with that, and some of the other funding factors. So this is the revenue side. We more or less pull out the one-time money, and that's why you see the state revenues. That's more or less the 20 million we talked about going in, pulling it back out. And then you do see LCFF growing. That's because of the growth and the COLA numbers that we have projected here. On the expenditure sides, you do see expenditures continuing to grow. This does not include negotiations. This is just from the growth of impacting two factors. One is as we get more students, we do have a formula for adding additional staff. There is formulas built into that the board has approved for all the staffing ratios. And so if we say we're getting 300 more students, we have to add staff for that. And so that's included in here. And then the other part added in here is, of course, step and column. Our salary schedules are built to have automatic cost increases or salary increases for the employees at certain steps on the salary schedule. And so because of that, we have to reflect that cost. Other than that, we pretty much hold most of the other items status quo unless we know specific activities that are occurring through that process. And so you see some adjustments there. But again, the multi-year projection, and I would say even the adopted budget until we actually see enrollment and attendance and the state budget, it's more a barometer than a thermometer, right? We're trying to feel the general direction we're going or the weather's going, or in this case, the budget's going, and we don't know the actual numbers until we get further along in the process. So bringing it all together, you can see the deficit of $17,000, which again, I would say is more or less a flat budget first year. 27-28 and 28-29, both of those years do see growth. That is again because of the additional COLA and the 8 growth funding. But of course, none of those years have any settlement with our labor partners yet. And so we're hoping to get a multi-year agreement with them here when we come back in August. And then there is some savings associated with, of course, again, having all the positions filled assumptions here and some of those things, there's some savings there as well. So overall, the budget does look very positive for us. We are very fortunate to be a growing district. The impact of the state allocating additional resources, I think if you remember the contribution to special ed over the last 3 years has more or less doubled. So that $7 million is huge towards that deficit and what we had to impact because we were spending down our reserves at a very fast pace, but intentionally so, with the intent of finding a way to build ourselves out of it. And so that helped in the process greatly. Other funds, you can just see all the other funds that we have. So there's quite a few facility funds. Fund 21 through 40 is the building funds. That's going to be all of the bond proceeds that we have accessed or developer fee collections and then use spending those dollars down. And so that's intentionally being deficit spending. When we issue new bonds, then we put the revenues in and then we spend them down again. So that's the way that process works. Looking at all the other programs, none of them really stand out. I will share that the charter school fund, which was an account we were worried about, them being able to cover all of their costs. We are actually showing them with a surplus for this upcoming year based off of some updated enrollment information. They're up over 190 kids as of right now, and I think we have them projected at 170 to start the year, which is significantly higher than they have been in the past. Cafeteria program is another program. We continue to see revenues growth just because of the universal meals, and so we are planning to do some expansion of services around those dollars to continue to try to get those funds out to students and program. So. Comparison data, I wanted to show a couple of these slides. I'd shared these with our labor partners just so that people have an understanding. There's been a lot of conversations about school districts in the news, in the media in the last like 6 months or so with the strikes and Sac City and all of the things that are happening out there. And so it's important to recognize that we are right next door to many of these districts. We border on them, but we are not the same when it comes to programs and funding and those types of activities. And so one of the slides I have here is just showing how much we receive per ADA through the LCFF formula versus our neighbors. Now, it's has to all do with their unduplicated percentage. So because all of these districts, except for us, receive concentration funding. Remember, that's if your UPP was over 55%, we get an extra, I think it's 65%, 60 or 65% on top of our per ADA amount for those additional students. We don't get those funds. And so this is just a quick way of showing why there isn't always an apples to apples conversation about what they have. Now, definitely they have more students of need and they need to provide additional services, but there is a lot of extra money that they receive than we would if we were them. So if we had the same UPP as Elk Grove, and this is using our ADA, not their ADA, right? They're a lot bigger than us, right? But if we just take our ADA, but the amount they get per ADA, we'd have $20 million more than what we receive now. Okay? That's a lot of money. San Juan is 25 million. We would get 25 million more if we were Sac City. And then you see Twin Rivers, we would get $82 million more than what we receive now, right? So that went on a $400 million budget. That's a lot of money. And so just reflective of that, that we aren't always apples to apples with our neighbors, and we aren't always being able to do, the same comparisons when we look at some of the activities that they have versus we have. So continuing on. So this is our indirect cost rate. So this is a calculation that we actually do at the end of the year. And then the numbers or the percentages you see here are from 2 years in arrears. So really the 26-27 number is from the 24-25 expenditures. So it's always 2 years in arrears. But what it is it's a percentage of our central office costs divided by all expenditures. So it's of your total expenses you're paying, how much of it goes to your central office? And what's the central office? Well, that's your more or less what you would consider the traditional district office. Now, there are a lot of people in the district office that don't count into this because they directly support students or they go out to school sites, those types of things, our counselors, a lot of our support folks. But when you think about it, you think of the business department, Human Resources, the superintendent's office, the board. We are all part of that. Technology, those systems are all considered central office. And so when you look at our percentage relative to our neighbors, we are actually below the average. So the average of those six is about 6%, 6.07 for 26-27, which was actually 24-25 data. And we were at 5.35. So if we were the average, if we were at 6.07 instead of 5.35, we'd be spending $2.7 million more in administrative costs than we do. And what that is a reflective of, in my mind, is that we are very lean, or we do a very good job of trying to minimize administrative supports with the dollars we have. Now, we have to, because on the previous slide you saw, we get less money, right? And they also probably need to have more administrative supports in some ways, right? Because of the needs of the students and potentially. But I would say that as a percentage, again, even if you're larger or smaller, it's a percentage of your total expenses. So it should be relatively equal in that comparison, in that methodology. And so I do think it is something to be recognized that we do a good job in that manner, and we are below the average. So, considering last one, this is just components of ending fund balance. So this is just looking at our reserves relative to our neighbors again. So again, Elk Grove is 3 times our size. So you see them 60,000 AD. So they're gonna obviously have to have more reserves than us. But one of the factors that we look at is percent of unrestricted ending fund balance versus all expenses. That's the one that we have to look at every year and make sure that we don't exceed 10%. If we exceed 10%, the board takes action, which you do, to reserve additional areas of service for needs. And then there's total reserves. That's the unrestricted and the restricted. And what you see there is that when you combine the two, and then you look at it as a percent or per ADA for our ADA, we're actually the second lowest after Elk Grove. So you can see there, you can see the other districts have sizable amounts of reserves on a per ADA basis versus us. So, and that's partially because we've been deficit spending, right? But we've been still doing programs. We haven't reduced program. We've been continuing to give salary increases. And so that reserve level, we are dropping. Elk Grove is slightly lower than us, but I would also say they are 3 times our size, right? So you can have a lower number the bigger you get. So just sharing some information. I thought it was very valid. It was relevant to the conversation. All of our labor partners recognize this. They appreciate it as well. They try to share that with their membership so that they understand Folsom Cordova is unique. We have a unique financial situation than a lot of our neighboring districts. So in closing, just want to talk about the May revise. Very positive. A lot of positive came out of that. We're very happy with those things. To be honest, the governor still was proposing, I think, about $3 billion of holding back. That money should go to Prop 98, so there is a potential for some additional one-time dollars or some other adjustments. May go to the rainy day fund. It's hard to see how they could balance the state budget, though, without it, so I don't know. It'll be a hard conversation. But the multi-year projections show positive, again, because of continued growth. Again, the work that the SBAC committee and the team has been doing around efficiencies and capacities without trying to have to add staff, but continue to take on additional students. We continue to monitor all of those things. Already from May, we've already had quite a few adjustments to the budget. We always say that the first interim budget's the first real budget, the first time you really get a thermometer check of how we're doing, because we'll know enrollment, we'll know staffing, we'll be far enough in because it's based off of October information. So June 15th is when the governor has to sign, or at least it has to agree to it. I think he signs normally a couple days after it. And then if there isn't a significant enough change, we will bring a 45-day update. I don't anticipate it based off of the fact that we included pretty much everything the governor proposed. But if something does change of significant nature, we will bring that as an update to the board. Timeline here, so you have lots of documents. Ms. Cabrera is going to be after me to talk about the LCAP, and then we'll be bringing both of those for approval at the next meeting. And then you do see we already have dates scheduled for the Superintendent Budget Advisory Committee, and then the whole process starts all over again. And so we'll have a whole nother year, and I'll be back up here again. So thank you so much, and then questions that you guys have.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Martin.
Yes.
Yes, colleagues, any questions? Mr. Reed, awesome.
Yes, Mr. Vice President, just one or two questions. On slide 15, Sean. Yep. And you may not know this off the top of your head, but the 3%, so I guess that's the 11,448,000. How does FCUSD compare to other districts? And maybe it's an unfair comparison for the very same reason that you were talking related to the concentration funds, that we don't receive it. But maintaining the 3%, I mean, are other districts, do they maintain a higher reserve?
So I can't say, the 3% is the state reserve level. So what you want to look at probably is look at total unrestricted reserves as a percentage of your total expenditures. And what I would tell you is we're right around 10%, 11%, and the state average for a unified district is over 20%. So we are less than, and I know I shared with the SBAC committee a comparison document that School Services puts together, and they look at elementary unified districts and then high school districts, because we're all kind of different. But in essence, our reserve level on the unrestricted side is about half of what the statewide unified school districts are. So that is something long-term, we want to monitor and keep an eye on. And every district does different things with that. And so, but I think it is something where long-term through the SBAC process, I would like to talk about creating a reserve level that probably is higher than that 3% to ensure those stormy days ahead in the future. So
there's some details, Sean, on slide 25. It's sort of in the fine print. If you wanted to scroll forward, 25. I think it addresses Trustee Reed's question right there in the very italicized statement context.
The state average is 21.89 and we're at 10.85.
Okay. And then on slide 23, I know I'm preaching to the choir here, but I mean, this is just unfortunate, and it's nothing that we can do. I know that this, we both at the district, at the state level, national level, there's a lot of talk of, about equity. Not to be confused about being equal, but the fact that we don't receive any concentration funds is very troubling from a state policy perspective, because it's not like we don't have populations within our district that struggles, that has the need for that type of funding. Sure, it may not be at the same percentage as Elk Grove or San Juan or Sac Unified, but we still have students that desperately need the same type of resources that these other school districts have. And to basically say, well, because you're below this arbitrary percentage, you get nothing. Basically, in a way, it's insulting. It's basically saying your underserved students deserve nothing, but other districts deserve that type of funding for their students in need. And again, I know it's nothing that we can do. It's a state issue. It just is an unfortunate situation. It's not like, we certainly don't deserve the same, perhaps percentage as SAC Unified, but to suggest we deserve nothing, You know, and I know, I assume CSBA, I assume you guys are always hammering that point home with the legislature as well. But anyway.
I would add to that is that, and the intent behind it is sound reason, right? Is that when you have a higher need population at a higher level, the needs multiply in some ways, right? And there just needs to be more service. What our issue is at an individual school site level, we would qualify for that.
Sure,
We have multiple sites that, we have some sites at 90%. We have multiple sites over 55%. And so if we could at least access the funds, some mechanism by a site level, then there would be some equity around that, I think is
absolutely.
Yeah, and I can add, Trustee Reed, this is something that President Laird is really passionate about. I know she's here, but not here. I can see her online. So we sat down with Assemblyman Hoover to talk about just that issue, to talk about, is there a way in the state there can be a mechanism that allocates concentration funding on a per school basis? We also know that it's one pie of money, and so if we're getting more money for some of our schools that are over 55%, then where does that come from? There's probably lots of smart people in the DOF or Department of Finance that can figure that out. But I believe that I know we're going to get back and connect with Josh in August, September, and he's interested, I believe, in proposing some legislation that would address that issue. The one thing I do know, just being in this industry for a really long time, that the funding, why it is the way it is all the very big urbans, so a lot of power in LA Unified, Fresno, San Francisco, Sacramento, all came together, Long Beach, all came together when Governor Brown was considering this funding formula. So any sort of change would come with a bunch of momentum to keep this the way it is. So President Laird, is there anything that you'd like to add? That you're very passionate about this.
Yeah, I actually super appreciate the side, because it is, and I think it's like, if you kind of go back and you look at some of the documents when they created the LCFF, the governor even said, hey, the funding mechanism that we have is not perfect, and there needs to be some refinements, and it's just we haven't done any refinements on this since it was introduced. And so, it's like, I think with talking with superintendent, we realized that it's a boulder that we're trying to move here on this. But, again, I think that we could be a leader because we are in one of those unique situations where, because of the concentration of wealth within our district, it doesn't allow us. I mean, we're extremely underfunded comparative to the other districts. And so, I think just trying to really dig into what methodology could rectify this. I think that, again, it's definitely at the state level, but somebody's got to kind of ring the bell with the state to kind of get moving on some kind of corrective measure on this, because, this is just for our schools. It's not just because you have a concentration of wealth maybe on one community or another community, that all of a sudden that those parents are going to step in and all of a sudden pay for tutoring services for these, unduplicated students. So we've got to figure out how do we get those support resources there. I can say that I am really proud of our district for the supports that we have, and what we do, we can with the money that we have. It's really discouraging when you look at the underfunding that we're facing. But I'm hopeful. I think we're lucky that we have an assemblyman who's interested in this, and it sounds like he's working on some stakeholders who also have presented some interest in this as well. So more to come, I think, on this as we kind of roll into the fall time of maybe what some next steps might be.
Awesome.
I
Thank you.
can just speak also, CSBA's ledge action was only about this. This was their only thing that they went to the state and they were asking for across the state. So during that week, CSBA decided this was going to be the one thing rather than weighing it down with other things. So it was across the state and really hammered in, so.
What were the reactions of the legislators that you met with?
Locally, we just heard that, so that's, and I didn't hear follow-up because I was not at the last delegate assembly, but I know that there is a lot of rumblings, a lot of talking, a lot of actually the state superintendent candidates at the conference also spoke on this. So there's definitely the knowledge out there and moving in that right direction, so.
Thanks for that update too. I appreciate that. And, and I appreciate CSBA just kind of going in really strong on, one specific subject, because it is, like I said, when you look at the numbers in the black and white, it is really kind of hard to like accept the funding as it is.
Right. Well, well, like us, there may be more out of 1,000 unified school districts in the same situation. So it's a matter of, as a leader, just to start, then there will be a followers. We can be a third coalition to go in front of governor. Governor, by sight, we have this many districts, is going to get benefited. And so it's a matter of starting, and hopefully, people will be behind with the Josh Hoover's bill. Thank you again. Rishal, any public comments, requests?
None received.
None received. Mr. Martin, thank you so much. Okay, this is a public comment. I am closing the public comment.
Perfect. Mr. Vice President, can I ask a favor of the board? We have a student who is on vacation, but is really here most likely for item D. And I'm just going to say, going to parent mode, and looks like he's going to be getting a ride or driving home. It's getting kind of late. So can we deal with item D before we do item B and item C? Because I believe, Karthik, you'll probably end up being able to go after that. Is that correct? Okay.
Absolutely.
Is that okay with the board consensus? Okay, perfect.
Okay. Well, 11D, adopt resolution number 06042658, Climate Awareness Education Initiative.
Yeah, so I really appreciate all the work on this. Peter, you may want to come up. I may be able to handle it. This has been an ongoing conversation from last year. And Mr. Vice President, you made a comment recently about like how we manage our board, just simple things around single-use plastics we're trying to eliminate from the district. There was a conversation that came up earlier in the spring around how are we managing our recycling, making sure we're doing that efficiently. I know Karthik's been working really hard along with Addie, who we miss. Yeah, she's here in spirit, to push this to draft this resolution and have the board consider it this evening. And it really is a resolution that it's aligned to board policy 6142.5, which you can see in the rationale. And it's around Assembly Bill 285 on climate change instruction. And so the resolution kind of addresses that. I just want to appreciate Karthik and his work with Addie, and I think really appreciate Mr. Maroon and his work working with the students. We are yet here potentially adopting another resolution in our district that is student-driven, and I couldn't be more proud of a governance team that empowers our students like you guys do. So, and that's not to leverage your vote, but I just think that's really great.
Mr. Maroon?
I really appreciate the opportunity for our students. SAB has been a very powerful voice for our students, representing our kids in this community. And from my social science background, having their opportunity to take that initiative to bring forward something that is passionate to them. This is something that we did 2 years ago, if you recall, with Addie. And this is another opportunity for us to fine-tune that climate control and push the initiative, continue to ask staff and to ask support for the initiative of climate awareness across the board, and then bring it down to the lowest level possible from elementary to middle to high school. There is supplementary material that's available, and that's what this one's really addressing, to support what the current curriculum is. And we want our teachers to really utilize that supplementary material to bring about awareness more so as much as possible. I know that President Larrett, along with the two student board members, brought forward to you guys water bottles to save on the environment with plastic bottles, a constant, that we were burning up. So appreciate you guys doing that. That's another example of that. This young man has kind of put his time and effort into it. He's come and spoken to you a couple times. I want to give him an opportunity to share with you why this is so passionate to him and how it really impacts. And I think he shared that with you guys last time he was here, of how you were, what it was like for you growing up, what it was like for them growing up, the impact, the difference. So I'm going to ask him if he wants to share a few things about it and why this is so passionate to him.
Thank you so much, Mr. Maroon. So the biggest reason I wanted to bring this forth was because when I was in 7th and 8th grade, I myself partnered with Folsom City, built curriculum, and I skipped school. I went to elementary schools and I presented on climate awareness because it was just such a big problem that I noticed. I presented to my sister's class, and then my sister, for weeks after, my sister would they'd come and ask her, "Is this recycling or trash?" She was like, "I don't know," and I was like, "I hope they learn from my presentation." But they all got so many elementary kids. I presented to I think over 800 over 2 schools. All those kids knew barely anything about this, and that's such a big problem because they're going to be the future middle schoolers, high schoolers in our district, and the future adults of this world. So that's why I wanted to come up, and that's why I created this resolution. And just thank you so much to Dr. Huber, Addie, Mr. Maroon, and everybody that helped throughout this process.
Awesome. Thank you, Karthik. Colleagues, any comments? Good. Well, while both of you, before I call for a vote, while both of you are there, as a part of the small climate resolution, I may have a request to both of you, including our Folsom field, around, maybe putting some nicer shade trees around as a part of climate, as a part of sports, as you go on the Prairie City. It needs some love, right? I think we can do that as a part of Community Service Day. It's coming up in Folsom.
Yeah, and SMUD has a program for providing trees for that. So working with our facilities department, our director over here, maybe looking at different areas that need some additional shade, and that where SMUD can partner with us, that'd be a great opportunity.
Yeah, while we are beautifying inside all the traffic and everything, beautifying outside as well with a little bit more love in shade. Thank you again. Colleagues, I think I can make a request to move this.
Public comment?
Oh, public comment?
Any
I'm so
public
sorry.
comment? None received.
None received. Thank you, Rishal, for keeping me on track, right? Yes, this is my first meeting. Colleagues, please make a motion.
There's no other comments. I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Yes, ma'am. You can call the roll.
Mr. Clark?
Aye.
Ms. Lofthouse?
Aye.
Mr. Reed?
Aye.
Mr. Chalem-Chorleh?
Aye.
Ms. Larrett?
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0.
What's that feeling, Karthik? How's that feel right now?
Congratulations.
Feels good. I started working on this. It's been exactly a year now. So
Yeah, there you
it
go.
feels good.
Congratulations. Well done.
Congratulations.
I expect to see you up here in a few years, yeah?
That's
Okay.
my goal.
All right, there you go.
Can I get a picture with the board?
Yes. How can we tell you no?
I'll take it, yeah. Oh, you got it. Oh, sure.
Well done, yeah, well done.
I'm gonna call my dad.
Jen, I know you are in spirit here. We will add your picture through AI to that one. Awesome. Okay, colleagues, I think I'm going to move on. Item 12B, public hearing.
Yes, so thank you. Before we jump into this item, thank you, Board, for allowing Karthik and that item to be presented out of order. So this is our public hearing for the district's LCAP. You'll see an item right after this, which is for our dependent charters LCAP. Again, as a reminder to the Board tonight, we're hearing a presentation from Elena Cabrera, who's on Zoom. Martha Campos will be operating the slide deck, so maybe a slight little lag there. But we're hearing about the local control accountability plan today, and then the Board, it'll be up for Board's consideration for a vote at the June 18th meeting. Elena, are you still there?
I am still here. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah, we can. So great to hear your voice. Take it away.
Oh, thank you. Welcome, and thank you for having me, allowing this distance. So good evening, Superintendent Swanson, Board Vice President Chalem-Chorleh, members of the board, and to my esteemed colleagues. I wanted, as a follow-up to Sean's presentation and some questions about concentration funding, the LCAP does require our district and all districts to show that they have complied with the requirements to increase and improve services for UPP. As a reminder, we do get funding for those low-income English learner students. We just don't get the concentration. It has to do with percentages and the amount. And I know we understand that, but I wanted to make sure that we do understand that we get that funding. And where that funding shows up is in this plan, as well as other funding. And in this plan, of course, a high priority for Folsom Cordova is the inclusion of meaningful engagement of our partners and in the development of the LCAP and of course the respective budget. The opportunities to provide that input included the district advisory board, school site councils, the community advisory board, parent summits, district advisory committee, our NAPAC group, and our employee bargaining groups as well, FCEA and CSCA. And then of course, through SBAC, the Superintendent Budget Advisory Committee, there was opportunity to provide a variety of input. And then our student voice was represented by our student board members, our student advisory board, and then those students who serve as members of their school site council. Attached in this presentation, in fact, the presentation is up, is the summary of the common themes collected from the various partners. The feedback was collected, as you know, you may have seen it yourself through surveys, the needs assessment survey, the thought exchange, direct input from parents at things like summits or data walks, and including all of our school sites held a school site council data walk that was personally focused on their school data. So as a result, we're going to begin our presentation there. You'll see those themes presented. So next slide, Martha. This right here is just an overarching, it's a message here from the different feedback sessions, and you can see intervention, supporting children, academic, things like instruction, quality. So you can see these are words that were taken in a word cloud that represent the voice of our partners. Next slide. What you're going to see in this presentation is following this slide will be a slide exactly the same, but in Spanish. And it was just a part of what we do in representing the languages and majority language in our district other than English is Spanish. So what I will do in the following slide is just skip it, but it is available so that our members of the public can have it in the languages needed. So one of the needs assessment, if we can go back, one of the first needs assessment, and this is not in priority order, this is the top 10 themes, included the communication and information sharing, things like requesting clearer, frequent, and accessible communication. Updates on student progress was a big one, newsletters, emails, fewer junk emails. No, I can raise my hand to that one. I agree. Information about programs, committees, and activities, and keeping parents informed in a timely manner. A second theme was parent involvement and engagement, desire for stronger family participation and collaboration, more parent-teacher conferences. I know in elementary there's a fall conference and there's occasion for other conferences throughout the year. Parents' feedback was very positive on those conversations, and this is where that has come from. Opportunities to give suggestions, community events, movie nights, social activities, and then parents being more involved with school programs. Next slide. Thank you. And so theme 3 is academic support and tutoring, requests for additional help for students who are struggling. And I know that with the attendance recovery, there will be a direct opportunity there. And then we definitely have opportunities through expanded learning, but they're really specifically the comments, and you may have even heard at parent summits or at some school site councils where kids are specifically struggling with subjects and having a place for those students to receive that additional help beyond the school day. More tutoring, especially in math and writing, support during the school day, not only after school, and study halls or extra learning time, and help understanding exams and reducing test anxiety. Theme 4 is special ed and inclusion, concerns about equity, safety, and true inclusion for students with special needs, inclusion in general classrooms and activities, and adequate support, resources for autism and mental health, and lastly, feeling that inclusion policies are not fully implemented. That was some of that feedback. Next slide. Next slide. Okay. Theme 5, English learners, bilingual, and immigrant support. Requests related to language access and ELD, ELL services. There was requests related to those, not only courses, but having the support. understanding the English learner reclassification process. It's multi-layered, and we do provide a lot of training for that, and it really does reach into the parents, but continuing to provide that was a common theme, was mentioned. Spanish-speaking staff in all offices. This is interesting to hear back, to have somebody on the ready to support questions as needed, or conversations. The ELD, English Language Development, and LPAC-specific classes and support to help ready those students as they continue to learn and make progress. Better alignment of Spanish used at school with home language, encouraging increased interaction between ELD and native English speakers so that there isn't that separation, but that there is interaction and opportunities for real life practice. Theme 6, teaching quality and curriculum. So the teaching quality, sorry, the way I said it, and the curriculum is theme 6. And that included things like feedback about instructional effectiveness and curriculum design. Some teachers are not providing, according to the feedback, some effective instruction in subjects, overly rigid grading practices, and a need for differentiated instruction, and lastly, more problem-solving activities. All right, next slide. Theme 7, resources, funding, and materials. And this is in line with what Sean has presented and the SBAC group, and here we are with the LCAP, is equitable access to resources and financial support. So at the beginning of this presentation, I talked about increasing and improving. One of our obligations is to make sure that these supplemental dollars are directed at the students who generated them and who have the greatest need. And so making sure that we are following not equal, but equitable access. Supplemental classrooms, materials and supplies is needed, and funding for field trips. This is, I think if you look back at the years of LCAP, and a couple others have made that list consistently. Transportation to school events, after school programs and sports, and support for low-income families. Theme 8, school climate, discipline, and student well-being. Comments about fairness, safety, respect, and emotional support. So as kids struggle or there's challenges, that we have that emotional and support on campus. Discipline policies perceived as unfair at times, and student safety concerns were added as feedback. Cultural sensitivity, especially recently around hair, gender, and identity. Counselors being attentive to student needs, and lastly, in theme 8, respectful treatment of students. Next slide. Theme 9, staffing and class structure, operational concerns that affect quality learning, teacher shortages and hiring timelines. Boy, we've heard that for a while too. And maintaining class sizes, consistency in leadership and administration communication. And going on to theme 6, positive feedback and satisfaction. Really, even though some of these themes that represented sound like concerns or areas, they're in many ways, when you think about like intervention or supports, they're being addressed in the LCAP with a number of different resources. But these are themes that our partners share as continuing to, as a need for us to continue to fund and support, or as a new idea. If you were a participant in the data walks, you'll know that often the questions are, what are the things that you want to maintain? What areas do you want to increase or improve? Or what other ideas do you have? And so generally the responses fall into that pattern of those categories. So I took a pause here to get to item 10 or theme 10, which is that positive feedback and satisfaction. In most of these cases, the expression of appreciation and gratitude and overall satisfaction was eminent. There's praise for teachers, our staff, our administrators, and our schools. And comments throughout our Roth data were things like, everything is going well. Now, we know that not everybody agrees with that or has had that same experience, but that was a general sense in the summary. And then feeling supported and happy with their school, and a common theme is no suggestions and very satisfied. Now, as a person who's done some data analysis, I take that as things are status quo, they seem okay. But we can certainly hear from our educational partners, and we do when there are challenges, so that we respond. So with that, folks, that is our needs assessment educational partners summary. And as you have a copy of the LCAP, we'll go to the next slide, and I'll entertain any questions or comments that you may have. Thank you.
Thank you, Elena. Colleagues, any questions or comments for Elena?
Just want to say thank you. and it's so good to see your face.
I miss everybody, but thank you so much.
Yes.
I will say, once we move on, well, I'll wait, sorry.
Yeah, let's see. Go ahead, sir. President Lorette, you have any comments or questions?
All good. Thank you so much, Ms. Cabrera.
You're welcome.
Awesome, awesome. Vishal, any public comments? None? Okay. So with that, if no comments here, I'm closing the public hearing. Thank you once again, Elena.
You're welcome.
Yep. And moving on to the 12C public hearing.
I also will be speaking. I really don't have any additional comments to add to this. You have her LCAP draft in front of you, but I'm here to offer any, to respond to any questions that you may have.
Got it. Wonderful. Superintendent Swanson, anything?
No, sir.
Awesome. Colleagues? Okay, any public comments? Martha? No public comments. Well, Elena, thank you again for hanging on for this one. I'm closing the public hearing.
Thank you.
Okay, with that, I think we finished the item D. Item 13, Superintendent's report.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. Comments this evening focused on graduation. Thank you for all the good living of this board in our district because the weather was great last week. It was really touch and go around the weather with outdoor graduations and promotions, but I really appreciated the opportunity for our community to come and celebrate our promotees and graduates. I had the opportunity to attend 9 different graduations and promotions from preschool to middle school to high school to adult ed, and there's nothing as a superintendent, I think, more exciting than seeing the culmination of all the hard work of our students and our staff at such a great presentation, a great celebration. So with that, I wanted to acknowledge from there a couple things related to graduation and a couple things not related to the arts. We had a couple items today that were on the consent agenda around Prop 28. But as you walked in tonight at graduation at Cordova High School, you see a lot of beautiful floral arrangements that are created by our floral program at Cordova High School. And when you leave tonight, make sure to check out the beautiful bouquet that's on Bobby's desk. It is the tradition of Cordova High to bring some floral arrangement over to the front office to celebrate our district office and Bobby, who's our amazing front office person. So you'll see that. You'll also see some art in the boardroom. Hopefully you've all seen this amazing art in the boardroom. This was provided by Mr. Jeff Carter. He's a art teacher at Folsom High School. So I wanted to give him a shout out. And also a special thanks to Craig Rouse for coordinating with Jeff. I'm not sure how hard that is. I would tell you that hanging all of that at my house would probably take 2.5 years. So I think they did it in a couple days, and it will be up for this board meeting and the next. And then how art was celebrated that. So we've covered Cordova High and Folsom, but at Vista, it was my first Vista High graduation. And to see the rock band, all-female rock band, play a song during their graduation was really cool. So just wanted to combine a celebration of our great graduations and a celebration of the arts in this amazing district. And I thank the board for all the support. That is all tonight.
Awesome. Thank you, Mr. Swanson. And the next step is the board members' report. I'll go with my left.
Perfect. I don't really have much of a report except wishing everybody a happy summer and a happy birthday to Mr. Swanson.
Thank you.
And you're welcome. And then just a reminder, I will not be in attendance at the next board meeting. So.
Okay. Trustee Clark?
No comment.
And Trustee Reed?
Yeah, I just wanted to quickly touch on some of the comments that the public raised today. Specifically, the first being the water polo. Superintendent, is that something that we can look into, how we can be supportive of transitioning to a water polo sport? I know a number of other high schools in the region have water polo. I know one of the challenges is the fact that Folsom High does not have a pool. It's unfortunate. Folsom High used to have a pool at its old site, From what I understand, they struggled to keep the pool filled because the cracks kept on draining the pool. But the location where it was actually originally identified is where we ended up building the CTE building. So unfortunately, there isn't a location that I'm aware of at the Folsom High property that we could in the future build a pool. But to, I guess, take the opportunity to talk about the Matt Washburn Aquatic Center, I would like to again raise the concept of a joint aquatic center that all of our schools have access to. So it's a single shared facility. Other school districts do that with various things. They may only have one, state-of-the-art stadium or one state-of-the-art cross-country track, or fill in the blank. I'd love for us to continue. I know we've explored it in the past, and I know it's expensive, but I don't want us to give up on the possibility of having a joint use aquatic center. And again, maybe it's in partnership with Folsom Lake College. I know the previous president of Folsom Lake College was open to the idea. In fact, they were willing to donate land on their facility for the building of a joint use facility that Folsom Lake College would also have access to. It would be like a partnership between the district and the college. I don't know. Again, I understand it's expensive, but it would be nice to at least look into that.
Yeah, a couple things. I can't address the joint use aquatic, but I can talk just real briefly about the water polo. So a couple things. One, I so appreciate the community coming out and advocating, and also I've heard from several members of the community, and they're super pragmatic in their thinking around the fall 27 and all the groundwork that they've done, the passion that they have in supporting their children in a sport that their kids love. I know that Peter Maroon has done a ton of work over the years with these families. And so once I started hearing about this, I've done a little bit of research, and I reached out to Brian Whitemeyer, city manager of the city of Folsom, and then he connected me with Kelly Gonzalez and Tom Hellman. And I believe that Kelly and Tom are sort of in charge of the aquatic center and how all that. And so I would say that, the district's perspective is for students and student athletes that want to participate, like we want to figure out how to get to yes. I think this one is a curious one because it just doesn't need grass, right? It just it needs a pool. And so just making sure that we have all of our ducks in a row. And I would say that I can commit to the district is passionate in the pursuit of water polo in the fall of 27. So let us continue to grind and work on this to make sure we can make it a possibility for our students, knowing that there's a lot of hurdles between now and then for us to overcome. But it's not something that we're taking lightly, and it's not something that we're ignoring. It's something that we would love. And then the schools and then the students and their families and the coaches, they can then determine if they want a team or not. But if we could get the logistical pieces lined up, I would love to be able to do that for our community.
Appreciate that. Thank you. And ducks in a row is appropriate because ducks do like pools.
They do.
So then I don't know what the solution is regarding the family that came to talk about chemical sensitivities. I understand that's a real challenge. I assume staff is working with them to try to figure out some accommodations. Okay. And then finally, the folks that came to talk about school choice, and specifically the situation where a student from our own district is placed or chooses to go to a school and then is told that there's not room in that school the following year. The irony of that is if it was an inter-district transfer, if we allow them in, we own them. Essentially, we have to allow them to complete at that school site. So we're providing inter-district transfer students greater protection at school sites than we offer our own residents. And I guess I find that concerning. So is that something that staff can look into, and maybe we can find a resolution in the future on that, so that students who start at school develop a friendship, get immersed in that school, aren't then forced to leave because we hadn't planned for their remaining at that school site for the remainder of their time there.
100%. Staff is already looking at our current policies and bylaws and applications and all of that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. So anyway, those are my comments. Thank you.
And President Lorette?
No report, just congratulations to all of our graduates, and thank you to all the staff and administrators who put all the graduations together. It's a heavy lift, and they did a fabulous job on every single one of them, so appreciate all their efforts. So, we will see you, Ms. Lofthouse, at the next board meeting, and we will miss you at the next meeting.
Awesome. Thank you. And in fact, Mr. Swanson, I think I did wrote those 2 items as well because of the number of emails and all the requests coming from the public, water polo, but you have done already a good job of talking to Mr. Wattmeyer. And also the interdistrict. I had the same question. I know you and I were exchanging some emails as well on that topic. More clarification and telling the parents, the policies are there, but they won't understand. Again, please don't take me wrong, right? Sometimes I won't understand either. But thank you for taking that into serious consideration. Right? Okay. And the congratulations, for all grads, as usual, thank you. This year, we don't have that 100+ degrees temperature. Right, and all the other grads promoting to the next class in a different school. Once again, congratulations for each and every one. And of course, the administration who has conducted all those graduation ceremonies, promotion ceremonies, teachers, supported classified staff. It's a wonderful school year. This is my full school year this year. So I sincerely can see the whole 360 degrees from August 6th, I think last year, August 8th to June 28th. So thank you again on that one. And also, I'm collecting some feedback from the community. We have done excellent. As Mr. Swanson's motto, 1% better. Every day, every year. I'm collecting, from the parents whosoever can speak. But I just want to give a perspective. When I was at Vista, while coming out, there were seasoned senior people sitting at the entrance, leaving, waiting for their kids to come out. And they're upper 70s, and they're from Reno. And this is what they said. They both were talking. We never seen this kind of structured, well-organized graduation ceremony in their life. They both were talking each other, not to me, but then they looked at me. I said, very well organized. So I just want to pass that, public comments from not our town, but the other state, who are visiting and giving us kudos. So that gives the, testimony from those people. Thank you once again. And also, this board today, I'm filling in for Jen. Jen, thank you for letting me run this. And everyone helped me here, from the time I came to gavel in. Rishal, thank you. Swanson, and even my colleagues too. I missed my, day, June 5th. Hey, it's okay. It is June 4th. and Eric is, hey, public comments. So thank you. Once you sit it here, like, when a kid 16, 15 years old, they can talk whatever it is when they're not on the driver's seat. But once they get on the driver's seat, they feel it. So same thing here, even though I was sitting so much. I just want to thank you guys all. Okay, with that, I think, again, it's a happy summer. Enjoy your summer. Okay, I can jump on to the next one. Item 15, advanced planning. Next board meeting is on June 18th. Any changes? Awesome. Okay. Any suggested future agenda items? I know we talked about some resolution on screen time, but anything else from our colleagues? Or President Lorette?
Nothing from me.
Okay, at least we were discussed well on the screen time, so we are good on that part. If no one has anything, I'm adjourning the meeting. Awesome.